Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Twitter Spaces with me. I call it Money Spaces. With me, Kalu Aja, that's me. Here we talk about money, the economy, finance, personal finance, how it all affects you, how all the news you hear affect your wallet. We want to make it personal to you. So this week, guys, I know we've been talking, I'll say about 2 weeks about this new CBN cashless banking policy, right? And I think we actually held a space on this, if I remember. We talked about the politics, the policies, even the what is intended to achieve with this policy. We talked a lot about that, right? And so there's still a lot of I don't think it's misinformation, but just a lack of information about really what's going on. So a few guys said, hey, let's get together and just do one more space on this, just to talk about this policy, but make it in terms of how it's going to affect you, right? So we can take it from there, and then you guys can run with that information and do with it as you will. So let me just give you let me do a quick 5 minutes intro, right? So the Central Bank of Nigeria passed a cashless policy. Remember, guys, it's a cashless policy that was passed in 2012. From 2012 to date, they've been passing it, trying to do it, trying to get Nigerians to move from cash to cashless. It's been on and off, on and off, on and off. In 2022, the central bank then says, hey, any currency you have, right? If you have any currency in Naira, we're going to change the color of that currency, and you have to take that physical currency, that cash, back to a Nigerian bank. And that Nigerian bank will then give you brand new currency. Essentially, that's what the CBN is saying, right? So that already just tells you what CBN is trying to do. They want to bring back all the cash currency outside the bank and then put it back into the economy. So this whole changing the Naira is not the real policy. The real policy is to have a pass-through from the economy to the banks back to the economy. Central bank wants to determine how much currency is out there. Where is the currency? And then where will the currency go to? That's what they are doing, right? So they essentially asked you, hey, wherever you have your currency, take to Nigerian bank. So if you have currency in Kano, you're going to go to Kano and put that currency in Kano. So they know that Kano has got a lot of cash, or they don't do cashless banking in Kano. That gives them that very, very good data. CBN has already said that they've collected to date about 2 trillion. There's a trillion in the CBN and a trillion in the bank. So they have 2 trillion. And of course, they know where that money is coming from. It's not like they want to arrest people, but they want to know where the money is coming from in terms of that policy. So that was why they changed the Naira. You can see the Naira change was not really security features alone. It was to determine and to make you take your currency outside the system back into the system. And so why is CBN doing it? Because CBN has told you already, cashless banking, what they want to do is to remove cash from the system. Why? Because in their mind, and they might be right, let's give them that, they might be right, they believe cash is driving inflation. Not just inflation, cash is driving the exchange rate in Nigeria. So because there's a lot of cash in Nigeria, look at what happens. Like if I earn a million naira and I only spend 500,000 naira, that's my total bill. So if I spend that bill and I've saved, I have 500,000 naira left over. What do I do as a normal Nigerian? Most Nigerians go out and buy dollars and hold dollars because there's excess naira, right? There's excess naira. So you go and buy dollars and hold. The guys buying the dollars don't need the dollars to import. We don't spend dollars in Nigeria. We don't. If you go to my village, even if you go to Lagos, I wrote a story once about how I gave a guy at the club, I wanted to impress the guy, was a bouncer. I gave him $10. And the guy said, if you have this equivalent in Naira, please give me equivalent in Naira, because when I go back to my house, they won't take dollar. So Nigerians don't spend dollar. When I mean Nigerians, they rank and file, don't spend dollar. But we hold dollar. We hold dollar because there's high Naira inflation. So if I hold dollar, I know if I want to spend that dollar, I change it back to Naira and I get my Naira at whatever price, inflation adjusted. The same reason why Nigerians take recharge card. If you buy a recharge card, you get 1,000, you get 1,000, inflation adjusted. That's what's going on. So we don't spend dollar, we spend Naira. So CBN's target is that if they reduce cash in circulation, right? Number one, that they're able to affect inflation, they're able to affect the exchange rate, they're also able to affect the non-admin things to do with the security, also bandits and all that, and also corruption. Those are the non-financial reasons why they're doing this. But the real reason is that they want to fight inflation, they want to do the cashless banking. That's the number one. So the question to you is why now? Because right now, many things have happened that were not there in 2012. In 2012, when CBN did cashless banking, there was no GSM companies with wallets that you could put money in and it would be your bank. Right now, if you use an Airtel or an MTN number, that potentially is your bank account. So with your Airtel or MTN number, you really have a bank account. That means even folks in my village, that there's no bank branch in my village, as long as they have a phone, and that phone is NIN enabled, they have a bank account. Nigeria's financial inclusion number, i.e. the number of Nigerians that are in formal banking, is very, very low. It's less than 50. So less than 50% of Nigerians go to a formal bank to do transactions. So CBN is saying that number is too low. We want to raise that number by doing cashless. If you do cashless, you are promoting these phones, mobile banking, telephone banking, because you now have the telcos that have a license. Those guys have a license to receive deposits and also make payments, right? You have those guys in the system now already. So it's going to be a better rollout. Remember, guys, if you have a phone and that phone is NIN enabled, you technically have got a bank account. That's where we are right now. So it's a good time for CBN to then try to push this policy and say, we're going to do this with the hope that people will then leave cash and go into cashless banking. And they're going to make it difficult or charge you a fee to hold cash, which is exactly what they are doing, right? So if you want to hold cash, they're going to charge you. If you want to get more than 100K, they're going to charge you. They're not saying you can't get 100K, but if you get more than that, they're going to charge you. So it's going to be a tax on cash. That's what they're doing, to force you into cashless banking. So if you look at it critically, guys, there is no new policy. It's still the same 2012 policy of cashless banking. They're just doing this to force you guys to go open up telephone banking, mobile banking, and all that. So the question someone's going to ask is that, but we've had mobile banking for years. Why isn't CBN pushing that mobile banking on the banks? If you look at the numbers, there's a company you should try to Google. It's called EFINA, EFINA, EFINA. I think it's Enhancing Financial Inclusion in Nigeria. I think something like that. They publish every 2 years, right? A record of financial inclusion in Nigeria. You can see what Nigerians use, i.e. what financial product Nigerians use. If you look at banking, right, what we call banking in Nigeria, 90% of the Nigerians that use banking, in quotes, right, just use it to receive salaries from their employer and spend. That's really what they do. Less than 5% of Nigerians have ever accessed a bank loan. Less than 5% of Nigerians have ever accessed a bank loan. What about mobile banking? Less than 5%. So all this noise you hear from the banks, mobile this, mobile that, they haven't penetrated. Less than 5% of Nigerians have a mobile banking wallet because Nigerians don't use banks. They use banks to receive their salary and to get the cash and spend, but they don't do banking. It's the same people that are just using the bank in Kano, as in the bank in Lagos, is the bank in Port Harcourt. Less than 50% of Nigerians are financially included. These are the numbers. So all the banks you see, they are all in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in the cities. There's no bank in my village. You might say, how big is your village? But there's nothing in my village. So if I was in my village and CBN did cashless banking in 2012, there's no way I can do cashless banking because I have to be included. But now CBN has done e-Naira and has licensed the telcos. This means there's really no excuse. If you're a carpenter without a bank account, you can do e-Naira, you can do MTN, you can do Airtel. You can receive money. You can receive 19 Naira from payment. 19 Naira. You can receive 19 Naira in Naira. You can receive 19 Naira via cashless to your wallet. You can spend 17 Naira via cashless from your wallet also. So we're reintroducing even those lower denomination coins in quotes, back into the Nigerian economy. So now you can buy egg for 7 naira. You can buy something for 9 naira, 19 kobo, which you can't do with paper currency. Cash is expensive. It is unsafe. It kills productivity because you have to have all that cash. With digital wallet, it's a lot better. Really, guys, what I'm saying, I'm not a fan of MFLA, but I'm just giving you guys the truth here, right? This is a good policy. It's going to cause you problems, but it's designed to cause you problems so that you transit to cashless. They are making it difficult for you by saying, load only turning denomination down, charge them a fee, because they want you to go cashless. Many of you on this Twitter space, if you're on this space, you have a phone, you have internet. So you are technically, you have a bank on your hand, right? You're not the target for CBN. Most of you guys are, I'm sure, with a debit card. CBN is targeting the 40-something% of Nigerians that do not have a bank account. So they're not included. So when CBN does monetary policy, it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect them. If you raise MPR up or down, it doesn't affect them. If you go to Alaba, cash everywhere. If you go to Onitsha, cash. You go to Okinri, cash. So if you do monetary policy, reduce monetary policy, it doesn't affect them. So that's another thing CBN wants to bring all that in. So when they pass monetary policy, it can work better. Nigeria is a powerhouse in e-finance and all that. This will take Nigeria forward. This is going to take us running forward. I'm shocked I'm defending CBN, right? And I get everyone that doesn't like the policy. There are lots of questions CBN hasn't answered, and CBN has not sold this properly. That's why I'm helping them, quote unquote. They haven't sold this properly. You have got to go to town and explain this to people. You can spend 19 naira with this policy and receive 17 naira. You can't do that with naira at a cheaper cost. So guys, let me stop here because I want folks to hop in. Lots of guys want to talk. So let's see. I want to just make this very short, very direct, just to answer the questions that that have come up. Let's get McLean. Michael Powers, how are you doing, sir? Go ahead.
Good day. I'm actually speaking from the capital. I'm in Abuja.
Okay.
It's a good policy. However, my concern is actually on the infrastructure support this, because with the mobile network in Nigeria is actually, the penetration is actually very low. I understand currently we're working with the UK but they are moving very, very low because of very slow because of the investments they need for the infrastructure. And also we'll talk about the coverage for basically this for communication. We really not doing well around that area, which is why I'm actually in the country right now to look at what we can do to.
Yo, Mike, let me take you up on that. I mean, before GSM, I had and nobody in my village had a phone. Now everybody in my village has a phone. So when you say the coverage, before GSM, we used to go to Nitel to call London. You go to Nitel, you buy a ticket, then you wait in the booth to call London. Now I can talk to anyone. I'm watching the World Cup on my phone. So even though coverage is not 100%, there is no Nigerian you will talk to today that will not tell you that coverage has improved. None. Not just coverage, fiber optics. Fiber optics even. We're doing fiber, we're doing voice, data on our phones. Nigeria is number one in terms of digital penetration in Africa. Number one. So, yeah.
I understand the numbers you quoted, but my job basically, I go to part of the country. I'm talking about places that you don't have, in terms of electricity and all of that, like all these border town, all these remote villages. What I'm doing all site. To know what we want to do. I'm not talking about the suburbs, the upper areas or the local that I support. I'm talking about those folks who are actually really at the extreme edge of this whole thing.
Okay, I hear you. I mean, Mike, I hear you. But what I'm saying is that we've gone from 0 to 60. So 60 is that performance I'm talking about. The 40% we will get to them. But I'm just saying that on the 0 to 60, we've done a lot on that code. That's just the point I'm trying to make, right? So, Mike, let me get. I get you. Let me get others to come in here. I've got Abena.
Okay.
Is that the name right? Ebene. Abena. How you doing? Good day. Abina. All right. Abina is not ready there. Let me get Mr. D. Adeyanju Oluwaseun. Good day, sir.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for bringing me up here.
How you doing?
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you?
Very, very well.
All right, great. I think I'm here to kind of ask a few questions, right? I understand, the idea of, the merits of, the CBN driving cashless banking. But where I have concerns is the approach, because it seems that the CBN, and this is why I think a lot of Nigerians keep having a problem with them, and I think why it's just still difficult for them to be successful in some of the things they're trying to achieve to do. So they kind of are borderline authoritarian in the way they approach things.
I agree.
Right. So because the question is, what has the CBN done to actually market cashless banking? Right? What are the initiatives? What is the marketing? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say there.
You are very correct. Go ahead.
Yeah, because that I think any sane central bank would want to approach it from that aspect first, right? Because another question that I would have is that does the CBN actually understand that the decisions or the choices it makes in order to achieve its monetary goals have like human rights implications, right? Because it just feels like, hey, if you want to use our naira, you just have to. This is what it is. Yeah. And I think the most irritating part of this policy is that I have to be at the mercy of a bank to withdraw above 100,000 naira per week or once a month, right?
That's in cash. That's in cash. In cash.
Yeah.
You can transfer. Like you can transfer $1 million.
What did you say?
You can transfer 1 million, but you can't withdraw in cash.
I do understand that. But because I feel like in other economies that are serious, right? Even if I don't even want to go as far as like England, UK, even in South Africa here, they publish, the Reserve Bank of South Africa publishes calls for comments or consultation papers, right?
True.
Where before introduces any policy to understand the implications or just to like get the public opinion on it. Our CBN or our central bank never does that.
That's true.
Right. And this is why I think this is the source of most people's frustration. Right. They just wake up one day and then just
change the naira.
So it is just so hard to keep supporting, no matter what the merit is, when the approach is wrong, right? Because it pushes a lot of people into like very tight corners. Right. The best approach would have been market cashless banking. And I think then I think by now we'll be way further than where we are in terms of cashless.
I think you've made two key points that I agree with. Number one, the approach, it's more of a stick approach. You wake up and you say we're going to change naira. You don't explain why. You say it's got bandits and whatever. That's nonsense. You don't really explain it really, really well. You don't tie it to this cashless banking. If you tie it in, it makes sense. If you don't tie it in, it looks like what the military did in 1980s, right? It looks funny for the largest economy in Africa to just wake up and change the currency. That's number one. I agree completely with you. Number two is this idea of the getting inputs. Like I made a tweet. CBN has to do less of the governor is speaking, so come and listen. It has to be more of what do you guys want? Let's listen. It's always this. CBN looks like a military regime. And the CBN governor looks like a military administrator, where he tells people what he's going to do. And if you don't do it, he says, come and fight me. I'm quoting him, come and fight me. You can't talk like that or act like that as a central bank governor of the largest economy. So I totally agree with you. And it's the tone and it's the mannerism that they do this policy. Look at the e-Naira. Wonderful product, e-Naira, but they haven't sold it. People don't know what it is. They just say, hey, it's e-Naira. He goes and takes a big picture with the president. What does it mean? Ask 10 people about e-Naira. No one can tell you what it means. No one. So completely agree with you, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you make a very good point about e-Naira. I've spent some time because I think we had a conversation about this in the charts, right? Where I asked you some questions
Yeah.
in the DMs, and I have spent some time just researching into Naira, and I think it is such a brilliant product.
Yeah.
Very brilliant.
Yeah.
And it takes us into that place to that realm where this issue of my transfer would fail and all of those things.
Correct.
One of the key reasons why a lot of people don't want to use the same, and also settlements, right? Because also people think I won't get this until tomorrow. It eliminates a lot of this, and I don't see this. So it just makes you like, why? It makes you wonder if the actual goal is, cashless policy, especially given the backdrop of the upcoming election.
Like I said, there are some objectives that the CBN is chasing that are not monetary. Bandits, to kill banditry and kidnappers is not monetary, but this helps. The elections in February, this helps also to take cash away from the politicians. This might be CBN governor's payback. The CBN governor is a politician, and he tried to run for president under the APC, and he was rejected by the same party. So this might be his way to pay them back and say, hey, I'm going to restrict your ability to have cash to spend. I support him. I mean, if he's doing that, he has our support. But still, it goes back to this. You can't mix monetary policy with other administrative actions. That it makes it look a bit funny. But thanks, Cheryl. Let me get Tunde in here. Tunde, hi, how you doing, Mr. Tunde? Hi.
Hey, hi.
Hi,
thanks very much for having me here. Yes, we know the policy is good, but you see, I have some challenges in Nigeria. I have a UK account. I am not charged because I'm transferring money to anybody. I had a problem with my card reader. I was given another one free of charge. You see, all these charges are. Let me give you an example. You need 10,000 naira from me. You just did it. I'm transferring money to you. You charge me 15 naira electronic transfer levy. You charge me 26 naira something levy. The moment you are transferring the money back to me, you will also pay charges.
True. So
why would I want to transfer money? You see this, you don't need to advertise it. Just tell Nigerians, ATM card is free. True. No ATM, 15 naira, whatever charges. In UK, my account in UK, I am not charged anything on my account.
True.
I am not. So why you charge? Those are what is making people not to. I went to a cinema today in Nigeria. I could not use my ATM there. I was told, oh God, you have cash.
Really?
This is in Lagos, VI.
Wow, that is crazy.
This is what you see, the way we go about it. Then you see, most of us in Lagos, let us understand Nigeria. I come from Oyo State. I come from Okumosho. I want to transfer money to my mother, who is something years old. I transfer maybe 60,000 to her. You are saying she can't get more than 20,000 on ATM and through POS. She's not a drug pusher. She can't go to the bank. She has to give somebody to get the money through the POS. Now, we are not cracking our brain. How do we do it? The threshold of 20,000 is too low.
Yeah.
It's too low. Yeah. How much? What can 20,000 can buy the bag of rice in Nigeria? It can't. Yeah. So you see, most of what they are doing, I believe they are in a haste. When you want to do things, sit down, think about it. Put on the e-Naira. I opened an e-Naira account. Personally, I wanted to test it. If you see the challenges I had to withdraw my money from that e-Naira something. I have it. I have it. I know the challenges there. So you see, there are many teething challenges.
Yeah.
That even when they want to implement it today, it won't work. Not that people don't want it to work. The policy holders tell people no bank charges for the next 2 years. Some apps are doing it now. Free banking. People will go into it. You don't need to. When I know that I transfer money to you is free.
Tunde, you are very correct. I tweeted it to the central bank that they should do an amnesty on fees. There should be absolutely no transfer fees, at least for now. Let there be adoption. When people adopt this and see that, listen, transfers is not that difficult. You can just, let's talk about your mother now. What CBN wants your mother to do is this. They want your mother to use her phone, get that 60,000 naira and spend from her phone. That's what they want. That's what they want.
But my mother she's not in Lagos now.
I know she's
in
in Oyo.
Where hardly will people people in my town or from Ogbomoso. They want you. Look,
no, Tunde, but
in the cities. Go to these areas.
I hear you, Tunde.
But
Tunde,
maybe Lagos, Ibadan. I'm from Oyo State. When I wish them success.
Okay, Tunde, hold on. Tunde, hold on. There's GSM in Ogbomoso, Abi. There's GSM in Ogbomoso.
Yes, there is.
Okay, so what the CBN wants her to do, right? And I'm not talking for CBN, no. I'm just talking on the other. I'm devil's advocate.
I understand.
They want her to use her phone, download that 6,000 naira, and then spend from her phone. It happens in Kenya. I went to Kenya. They were buying fish. They were buying rice, buka, with their phones.
Yes, but look at the education they went through.
They didn't really go to it. It's M-Pesa.
I bet you never did to Yoruba. What of the issue of fake transactions? Okay. Even in Lagos, fake transactions take 2-3 even months to rectify.
Good point.
Okay.
So good point. I hear you.
But it should be done gradually, well thought out. State governors should be brought in, musicians should be brought in, so it will become everybody will understand it. Not sitting down in Lagos and in Abuja and just saying something. Where the man in my town, even as she called me that, what are we going to do? I said, don't worry, when we get to the bridge, we will cross it.
Tunde, excellent points. I think like the summary of your points are you have to communicate better and sell the benefits. You've got to sell the benefits, not threaten. You got to sell the benefits. Tunde, thank you so much. Let me get. I was going to get Hamza, but he's dropped off. Victor, you've got the floor. Victor, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much, Carlo. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Amazing discussion so far. First and foremost, I want to just give kudos to Oluwaseun. I loved his point where he talked about the education component of this particular policy. Now, this is what I want to ask. I also want to ask questions as well, because before you bring in a new policy like this, you need to get people educated about what it means. Like you said, Carlo, in the village, right? You need to go around and do awareness. You need to go around and inform people about what's about to meet them at their doorstep, so that they are prepared for whatever is going to be the consequence, or whatever is going to be the advantage of this particular policy. Because when people are not educated, they are going to really suffer when this is implemented on a full scale. But then, that's by the way. I also have a challenge with the technicalities involved in making this making this mainstream. Like the technicalities involved, the people. Well, of course, like you said, Carlo, if you have a GSM phone, if you have as much as just a phone with a SIM card that is NIN enabled, they can do the transaction. But there are technicalities involved. There are network issues. There are a lot of things that we have not fixed or we have not sorted out yet before we now talk about using this particular or implementing a policy like this. Then, of course, one major area that I think the CBN and the government as well, they're even overlooking this particular policy that is coming up now. When we look at the major challenges that is bringing about poverty in Nigeria, like you can see the poverty rate, close to 80 million Nigerians are on the poverty line. You can see the debt, the external debt rising year by year, right? And this is what's leading to the inflation that we are seeing right now. So does this actually solve inflation? I feel like, because that's what the real issues are. That's how people's lives get better. When there is less inflation, there is less debt, there is more export than import, and the more people's lives get better, then they can begin to transition into adoption of policies like this or implementation of policies like this. Because at the end of the day, like you said, Carlo, it's going to look like it's just like a personal vendetta. But we're not considering the lower class. We're not considering the middle class. The CBN, good policy, has its advantages, amazing idea. But when we look at it on a globe, on the country-wise, like, is it something that everybody, 80% of the population can actually adopt easily?
I hear you.
And I don't know to
Victor, yeah. I hear you. I mean, some very, very good points again you've highlighted. The information sharing has been weak. But let me just address the point made about inflation. There's been some talk about inflation, and like I said at the very top, CBN wants to also hope that this will allow them to track. I didn't make this, but let me make this point again to guys. if you use online banking, if you use mobile banking, if you use telephone banking, then you can be tracked. If you can be tracked, I'm just giving you the facts. I'm not saying I support, I'm just giving you the fact. If you can be tracked, then you can be taxed. So this would enable, or this would aid the taxation of transactions. We're talking VAT, we're also talking corporate income tax. There's a big gap between if you are spending money and if you are taxing, which means that I could spend ₦1 billion. Doesn't mean that I owe tax on ₦1 billion. Taxes are on income, not on expenditures, right? So you tax income, you don't tax expenditure. So there's still a big gap there, but still it will bring a lot of people that are hiding will come into the tax bracket. Will it kill inflation? I do not believe you can kill inflation by restricting just cash alone. It's not possible. I would like to, Tunde told us, Tunde is sending money to his mother. If his mother can buy rice with a check, the rice is already priced at a higher price, right? So it doesn't, I don't see how it stops inflation because the prices are still going to keep on going up. They've just restricted cash. They haven't said you can't use it. All right, Victor, let me get, do you want to add anything before we go?
Yeah, so, just to,
just to real quick, sir.
Say that I think it's very important that we, like I highlighted before, we start with the basics, get people educated, solve the technical issues, and then now go with the policy.
I completely agree. Completely agree, guys. And guys, if I take you off, it's just because I need space to add more others that want to speak, right? So if I'm taking you off, it's because I want people to join to speak, not because you're saying anything wrong. I have to take you off to create space on the leaderboard for us to come in. Otumba Almer, you've got the Otumba J, you've got the floor, sir.
Good evening, Carlo.
How are you doing today?
Oh, very well.
Excellent.
A lot of interesting discussion here. And like somebody who mentioned the mother, Bomosho. Nigeria is predominantly rural in nature.
Sure.
Take away rivers, take away Abuja, take away Lagos. More than half of our land mass is occupied by rural dwellers. And like somebody rightly said, CBN has not done a lot of engagement. And it appears that CBN is targeting a particular sector, the politician, just like a governor recently alleged that they are being targeted. And who are the victims? The market women, the same unbanked. There's a whole lot that the country needs to do to bring in the over 40 million unbanked into that space. Even the so-called USSD, to navigate it requires some level of education. It is not as easy as it seems. And this is so sudden. I would have expected a phased engagement. By the 9th of next month, this policy will probably come into force, I guess. But I hope that by the time the CBN will meet with the Senate in the next few days, a whole lot of modification will be done. But I think it's a good policy in the sense that they would have allowed the limit with the POS agent to stay because they are everywhere in the country today. They are everywhere. For instance, there is no local government in Nigeria today you don't find a POS agent. Nowhere. So the rural dwellers rarely come to the bank these days because of these PO agents. And they are very easy. They rarely even have network when you go there to withdraw. And I think we have some positives, but I think a whole lot of education, particularly at the rural level, needs to be done. And I think Nigerians...
Otumba, let me take up a bit, right? You see, the whole idea of the POS guys, right? I think it is the POS that actually has defeated the cashless banking. Because let's go back to Tunde's example. If Tunde sends money to his mother in Ogunosho, his mother then goes to the POS guy and gets 60,000 naira. That's what's going on. So she's never ever going to be financially included, nor is she going to do cashless banking because she can easily get cash from the POS. So whilst POS has brought in this ease, you don't have to go to the bank. They are doing the exact same thing banks are doing without the banking. Remember what I said at the very top of the space. Nigeria's financial inclusion is less than 50%. Most Nigerians only go to the bank to get their salary and to withdraw their salary to spend. We don't do mobile banking. I'm quoting Efina. You can go and download that. It's not me. Less than 5% of Nigerians have accessed a bank loan. So what is going on is this. As long as you have ease of cash via POS, Nigerians will not do cashless banking. So the question is this. Do we want cashless banking? If we want it, then we have got to go to the POS guys and say, this cannot happen. Listen, in Kenya, we keep on, I hear your point about the USSD. In Kenya, they're not more educated in quote or more global than Nigerians, but they use their phones and buy Booker. The woman will pin the paper, she'll put her number, *11, whatever, on her umbrella. Those guys that sell corn, she'll pin it on the umbrella. You go there, you pay with the coin, her phone will do ding. She'll give you, okay, 856 she'll give you. So if Kenya can, and they're Africans, because cash is inefficient. It's inefficient. If we agree cash is inefficient, then we might say, let's be a compromise. Okay, we'll give you guys 1 year, we'll reduce this. But ultimately, the question is, do we want cashless banking? If we want it, then I think the POS guys have got to be restructured. MTN, Airtel have their super agents, right? Those are also cashless banking. The difference is that they don't want you to have the cash. They can send you the money, it stays on your phone, spend from your phone. That's what they're trying to say. They're not only against the POS, I think it's the POS to cash. That last line, I think that is where CBN has an issue with. Another point you said, sir, I completely agree with you. Did you have a comeback on that, sir?
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. But I think the whole thing still boils down to a lot of education.
True.
And I'm really wondering how Kenya was able to achieve such a significant milestone with M-Pesa. But maybe something we need to...
Do you know why, sir? Do you know why they did it? Because it was not the government. M-Pesa was a private company. M-Pesa was only that popular and got that mileage because it was a private company. They ignored it. It gained market share. If it was a government agency, they would never have gotten the mileage that they've gotten. The same thing in Nigeria. What killed mobile banking in Nigeria is that the CBN gave it to the banks to do. If the CBN had not given banks mobile banking, by now we would have all been, nobody will notice. I go to America, I hardly go into a bank. Most of us on these spaces travel. Have you guys ever gone into a bank, maybe in America or Dubai? You have your phone. I mean, most of us on this space. So we have to be, you go, GT Bank, I'm not doing advertisement, but GT Bank has something called Squad, virtual POS. Yeah. All right, guys. So let me get some. Otumba, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you speaking.
Okay, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Let me get Louis. I've got Louis Tabai. How about I got that name right? Louis Tabai. Good day, sir. Hello, Louis. Okay, let's get Monsieur Eno. Monsieur Eno, you've got the floor, sir.
Hi, Carlo. How are you doing?
Very, very well, thank you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, for this policy, my own view, I am actually for and against the policy.
Interesting.
I think a lot of people have made valid points, and I also tie into the guy that made the point about the charges.
I agree.
You mentioned about the loans, that we don't access loans. I would say those charges that the CBN actually did, I assume they share the money with the government and the banks. That makes the banks very lazy to give out a less secured loans to the real sectors. Why would you give out loans that you don't have a good chance of recovering when you can just sit back and charge every transaction and then declare your dividends at the end of the year? Lazy, easy, and effective. So I think the CBN itself, they've actually complicated issues. Those charges itself, if I'm a market seller, I would want to reduce my prices. I want to compete in the market. I want the prices to be competitive. So I would try to set my price in a way that my customers, I gain market share. So if I'm adding those extra charges in my cost, customer comes and does those transfers, and every transfer they are paying 50 naira or 70 naira or whatnot. It's going to actually end up with people hoarding the money. Even the new policy, what I see happening is when it starts, people will make bank runs, withdraw money, sellers will sell, get cash, but they will remit it back into the bank system. So it's ultimately going to go back to the same thing with cash everywhere. So CBN has this firefighter approach. When they have low revenue, you charge everybody directly from the account. You don't create a system where you can tax and get a better revenue. You are talking about insecurity. The government is by extension the government now. You don't fight the bandits. You're actually tackling those that are paying ransom, right? Instead of fighting the bandits, you are now going against those paying ransom. So if someone is kidnapped right now, you can't actually access ransom, and probably your loved ones will get killed. So it's more or less like firefighter approach to everything. So I think one of the points you made was maybe Emefiele was trying to get back to the politicians and all that. I can actually look at it in another way. Maybe they are trying to be nefarious. That's an opinion. And they are trying to starve opposition of funds while still making same available to affiliates, because he's a card-carrying member of APC. For him to go to contest for election would actually be deemed as a card-carrying member of the APC. Yeah. And most of them that contested are fallen in line, and he could also fall in line. So we could look at it in multiple ways. So that's what I think. And I think probably if it's for the election, it's actually a good thing if it's done across board. But after the election, they should sit back and revoke this policy. That's what I think. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Lots of great points. I appreciate your comment. Lots of great points. I think you've hit all those issues we've been hearing. Lack of communication, fire-breaking approach, too many fees. A bank's job is to take deposits and loan it out. That's what a bank is created to do, not to charge fees. There's fee income. When you look at the bank's balance sheet, there's fee income and there's interest income. Interest income is what the bank is set up to do. Fee income is okay, yes, Jara, but when your fee income starts to be as much as your interest income, we have to ask, are you a bank or are you a finance house? That's how I would look at it, right? Let's get Paystar in here. Paystar, did I get that right? Python programmer Paystar, you got the floor, sir. Your audio is very low, sir, if you don't mind. I don't know if you're using a hands-free or it's rather low.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's very low. Sort that out. Give me a hands up when you sort it out so I can come back to you. Yeah. Let's say Kolade Benson. Kolade Benson, you've got the floor.
Hi, Kalu. Very interesting conversation, and I comment this talk about CBN. I think the problem a critical mass of banked Nigerian people are complaining about is the knee-jerk reaction CBN has towards a lot, of this policy shifting and change. It's always we've always seen CBN in a constant flux with policy, and that's not healthy for their ministry or whatever it is that they do. And the challenge is it's not peculiar to CBN alone. I think it's just a Nigerian thing where people just sit within their office and just make a decision that will affect thousands, if not millions of people. And of course, there's a difference between policy making and the implementation. It's easier to prognosticate as to this policy is going to do X, Y, and Z. And it's also difficult, or rather, they've not done a very good job with the implementation part of it, which is where we seem to have a bit of a challenge. And for real, if I would be honest, I think it's a novel idea. It's brilliant. It makes sense. A lot of us that are polymobile would rather not spend cash. Would rather do online banking. There's a lot of unbanked Nigerians across, and they are not captured within the CBN and within their nets. So I feel it's an amazing idea. It's just that how to go about it, the sensitization programs across the jail zones. How many people are aware? Are they working alongside local governments to enlighten people that don't even know about these things we are talking about? So it's a multiplex challenge, really. And I feel that if the CBN is going to get maximum throughput with this policy, they need to sensitize people more, let them understand the merit of this new policy, so that it's not only the elites that are just listening to what they are saying, and that's to be a shallow outcome.
Gotcha.
Not the Russian tank attack method.
Yeah, so it's more like this is a great policy. The upper mobile guys get it, but the lower pyramid guys don't get it. And CBN hasn't really done a good job in explaining this policy. You like the policy, but CBN hasn't done a good job to explain it. I agree with you. I agree with your comments you made. Completely agree. Thanks, Kolade. I appreciate that. Let's get Abuchi Okaro. Abuchi Okaro, hi. Good day, sir. Abuchi?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening to you. How you doing?
Okay.
Go ahead, sir. You got the floor.
The reason I say this is because I had the opportunity to go here in 2018, and I realized that you can buy something at the Duka, so something like, say, you buy corn at the Duka, and then you pay with M-Pesa and things like that.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was wondering, why is it we can't implement this kind of thing here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if these people, Africans like us, are doing it, like, why can't we do it? So the way I see this policy, I see it as something that would drive people sort of about, enlightening the people about it, informing them, educating them, and all that. But just like this evening, my wife was telling me she was arguing with her dad. Her dad was telling her the policy was good, and they were arguing it wasn't good, the stress and all that. And I was telling her it was good, how would people know about it? Then I started talking to her about e-Naira. That's e-Naira, yeah? Yeah, I mean, this should force all of us to go and download e-Naira and start.
Abuchi, you're making some...
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, you are breaking. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Abuchi. Abuchi. So
yeah.
your audio is breaking. So you are making some very, very good point, but it's breaking. I think people want to listen to you. So if you just again, when you get to a good place, just give me a hands up and I'll let you speak. But your audio is breaking. Yeah, I want you to call back. Yeah, make some good points, sir. All right, let me get Mr. Thank you. Let me get Mr. D1X. Mr. D. Abuchi, once you have a good connection, just give me a hand so I'll get you. Mr. D, go to the floor, sir. Mr. D, going once.
Actually, sorry, Carlo, I'm here to listen.
All right, so I'll take you off the speaker. All right, thank you so much. No worries. Yeah, I got Ubuntu. I've got an Ubuntu Nigeria think tank. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Carlo, for having me. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been listening to great minds speaking, and also I want to commend you. I enjoy your content on Twitter.
Thank you, sir.
So, first, I will say this, and without any fear of favor, the problem with our country is that, one, the government is not trusted. And secondly, the government has not been responsible. I will drive my point with some examples. The CBN is behaving like a teacher that does not understand a subject, but bully a student that asks a brilliant question. Because if they have not really, like someone said earlier, they have not really marketed this idea to the people. And maybe just want to bully everybody to fall in line. Yeah, it may be a brilliant idea to some people, to some it may not be, but there should be a consensus. Not like kind of a voting consensus, but the people should have a buy into it. I want to give 3 instances. One, in 2016, I was privileged to handle a project in Ghana. I handled a nationwide project in Ghana end to end without opening a bank account in Ghana. Everything was done with mobile money. I paid the locals, I paid the engineers, everything was done with local money. I ate Indomie on the street in Ghana, in Accra, Kokolemle, with mobile money. Why can't we do it? Now, I'm giving another instance. Here, because I want to drive a point about incentive, why it is necessary. Visiting Canada, being in Canada, right, I noticed something. When you go to the African stores to buy stuff in Canada, from my own personal experience, they will tell you, please pay cash or pay with debit card. Don't pay with credit card. Right. So when I was curious, I asked one of the lady, I think a Togolese, I said, why do you request for debit card instead of credit card? She said, when I pay with credit card, that she has that she will pay some charges or something. But when I pay with debit card, that she doesn't pay any charges. You see the power of incentive.
Yeah.
So she herself is making me use marketing debit card herself. So if there is an incentive to this cashless economy or something, and the CBN market it very well, the people will buy into it. I think CBN should go and study the digital India approach. What they did with Adhere, I don't know if I got the pronunciation right. That was their approach to bring everybody to bank, all the unbanked, and that is a very big success today. I think CBN should study that. What did they do with that? They made the people understand. The reason why we want to bring you to banking is that we want to interact with you directly. Not that one woman will come and tell us she spent 20 billion to feed children that does not exist. We want this money to be going to you directly. So with Adhere in India, they can even help farmers by crediting their account directly, no middleman anywhere. What is the benefit of this digital banking or this digital economy we are trying to move into? Yes, we understand it because we are exposed people. It is convenient. So the woman, like the man that was talking about, the woman in the Bomosho, how does that make sense to her? So the CBN governor should come out with a brilliant approach to convey this idea to everybody from the top to the bottom of the pyramid. And not bully. Yes, personally, as a tech person, I love the idea. In fact, I don't even like handling cash. I can't remember the last time I held 50,000 naira cash. But the thing is this. Would I now use my own perspective to enforce on other Nigerians who also have the same right I have as a citizen? The CBN should do a good job by sensitizing the people and selling this to them and not bullying everybody. Like you said, they say, come and fight me. That is just a typical teacher that doesn't understand the subject and wouldn't want to take any questions. That's my submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Bontu. And let me just highlight again this point you made that I think is very, very important. If we have digital banking, if we have mobile banking, right, then it's trackable. That means when we're fighting this poverty and we're giving money to quote unquote poor people, we can simply ask the minister, give us the data. We don't need to give us the data of who you have disbursed money to. The money has to go from the ministry or from the banks to the individual phone numbers. Right now, I can bet anything that ministry cannot give you a database of the individuals that have received more than $500 million and counting in so-called humanitarian fund disbursement. That place is a cesspool of corruption. What's happening in that Ministry of Humanitarian, whatever they call it? Yeah, because there's no tracking. And this is why cash is bad. This is the point, guys. As long anywhere, if you're on this space today, you have a business and you are collecting cash, I assure you, a part of that cash is being stolen. It doesn't matter where you work, church, bank, toll gate, shop, anywhere you are collecting cash. If you're not the one collecting that cash 100%, I assure you, as night follows day, a part is being stolen. Make of it what you will. Thank you, Ubuntu. Let's get Okocha in here. Okocha, you've got the floor, sir. Okocha has dropped off, so let's get Olympus SPOR. Olympus Adebanjo. Good day, sir. How are you doing?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me and a lot of what I...
Could I request that you just speak up a bit, sir? Can you speak up a bit, sir? Please, sir. Speak
All right,
up.
okay. I'll just do that. All right, can you hear me better?
Okay, slightly. Go ahead, sir.
All right, okay. I've been taking note, actually, and a lot of things I had in my mind have been said by various persons.
Okay.
And the fundamental question in my mind, the observations, is that how can we, of course, this is like a good idea. This is something that we have seen operate in other climes, right? And of course, the problem with the methodology, right? So, we can see from your presentation that in support of it, and I'm not usually in support of anything that Emefiele does, but this time around, I find myself arguing with people who are. But how can we not cross the line of accepting this policy without a methodology? That must be there. That line must not be so excited that we don't let Emefiele know that we don't still like this methodology. I think that the policy is great. I think that is a line that all the social commentators should not cross. We must continually remind Emefiele that whatever this is, you didn't go the right way. But of course, this is a kind of a possible.
Yeah.
So the second thing has to do with trust, right? Because if you look at, you are supposed to. People are. It actually makes it easy. You transfer to people. People have been talking about the people that are unbanked and all that. So of course, and I think that you had a point that took that out because before phones started, and we like most of us have phones now, right? So many times necessity will force people, and I think that is what Emefiele is banking on, and that's why they don't want to spend the money on education, right? Which they were supposed to spend, of course, if they are actually working for the people. And of course, you also raised the issue of wanting to even see how this increases tax net really, because these are just transfers, right? You can't necessarily track certain kinds of. You can't necessarily track the intentions. I mean, the narrations of payments, for instance. You can't necessarily, or you can't even put in domain. You're just transferring the money itself. The best you can do is actually the fees that people are actually talking about. So,
all right, Olympus. All right, I got you. Your audience, but I think I got two key points you made: the trust and also how they've approached it. People don't trust the government. That's one big thing, and also the approach. I'm also very, very shocked that the CBN has not tried to get some promotion done about this. Get people to talk about this in the language of the street. You cannot talk monetary policy to Nigerians from the headquarters of the Central Bank of Nigeria. What does cashless policy mean? You have to get people that know how to speak to people in the language of the youth, in the language of the street, to understand and sell what this is. You just can't say we want you to use cash. We don't want you to use cash. So why don't you want me to use cash? Explain to me like a 5-year-old. This, I think, is what they are not doing. So I completely agree with you, sir. Well done, sir. I got Logical here. Big Daddy Dam. How you doing, sir?
Hello, good evening, everyone.
How you doing? Go ahead.
So can you confirm that you can hear me?
I can hear you very well. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Kaluwa. I am a big admirer of your work on here. I need to say that I need to put that out.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Well, to the point, I think it's a very good idea that CBN has brought up, like everyone has said. However, the orientation and the work that has to do with keeping people abreast with the advantages of these policies has not been done properly by the central bank, and it has been one of the weakest points of this very administration to always leave information out. It's always like they are forcing people to do things rather than make it easy for people to understand, and they give room for others who tend to give misinformation to take the lead and kind of misinform the people. This is an opportunity for them to kind of penetrate the market and ensure that people who are unbanked get banked. They are able to trace all sorts of funds and also kind of spending and increase the tax net. However, I think the policy itself is a little bit not to plan for, because what I'm thinking is this: apart from Lagos and like every other person said, apart from Lagos and few other areas, for example, a place we are served in those states called Ikavera Kuku, somewhere very remote like that. I really don't think I ever saw anything close to 3G network there. Now, for people who don't have a 3G network, I don't really know how they are going to be able to.
So quick answer for you. You can use SMS for this. It works with SMS.
It works with SMS.
Yeah. So if you have a GSM number and that GSM number is NIN enabled, you can do cashless banking. Yeah. You don't need the smartphone.
Oh, you can do it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's smart. Wow. I'll then look into the execution of the policy. I think it should be executed in phases rather than just everything going ahead.
Super.
To get executed just once and for all. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. Let me get. Jesus. That's going to be Mr. Blackbird. Mr. Blackbird, good day, sir. How are you doing? Blackbird, going once, sir. All right. Paystar, how's your audio looking? Paystar, how's your audio looking? Is it better?
Yeah, is it better now?
Yeah, it's got a ding, but go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I would be placing the premise of my argument on 3 legs, which is consumer education, infrastructure, and security.
Your audio is very low. The audio is very low. Are you using a hands-free or I can hear you clearly?
I can hear you perfectly.
I can hear you clearly, but it's low.
I think this is the highest I can go. But if it's too bad, I'll drop off. If you say you can't hear. Or can you hear me?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. About this present policy, on paper, it sounds perfect. It sounds excellent. It sounds 100%. But like a vampire exposed to sunlight, will it survive being exposed to the Nigerian economy? Let me just give you an example. In the banking system, you have the NFIU, you have the CML and CFT, which is if you pay a cash deposit of more than 5 million naira, there's a report which is generated and sent to NFIU. These are all banking policies, these are all CBN policies. But how are those policies being followed to the letter? To me, I actually, in discussions, I always tell people that the banking system in Nigeria is actually in cahoots with most of people, the underworld of the system. Example, the headsmen, people who are kidnapping people, criminals. Example, somebody is kidnapped today and they tell the family, go and bring 10 million naira as a ransom. This money is taken as cash to the den of these kidnappers. It's paid to them. I can bet it with you that this ransom money is not being locked around in the forest with these kidnappers or these headsmen. This money finds KYC. KYC is also a CBN policy. These are banking procedures. But the banking system actually codes and creates avenues for actors who are not after the good of the economy to actually circumvert these policies and override them. So I'm just giving you an example about how things are being done. So this policy, like I said, it sounds good on paper, but I can bet to you that there are ways that the system is circumverted. And had the CBN actually put those things into consideration. Like I said, I was going to base my premise on three legs, which is education, infrastructure, and security. Education, to me, is...
So you've got about a minute more, sir, if you don't mind.
Sorry?
You got about a minute more?
Okay, to me, the policy seems rushed. There's no education. I'm kind of like repeating what other speakers have said, but it's also have been given a third and staggered approach rather than this rushed approach by the CBN. I hope it succeeds. It sounds good on paper, but I hope it can survive the sun of the Nigerian economy. Thank you very much.
I think good point you made there, right? It sounds rushed. When rubber meets the road, can it survive? Why I'm bullish on this policy is just because the telcos are involved, not really the banks, but the telcos. So MTN can do this. MTN has shown itself. MTN, Airtel, even the Flutter Waves, even all those, the online fintech in Nigeria, they can do this. If we had these guys with a banking license to receive payments and make deposits earlier, the Nigerian Financial Inclusion Index would have gone better. That's my should we say, well, that's why I'm bullish. Not really the banks. The banks have had 60 years, since 1960, right? And we haven't increased inclusion. So I'm hopeful that the telcos and the fintech guys can take us to that promised land of higher financial inclusion. That's why I'm hopeful, right? And I think it's going to happen. So a great point, Pista. Let's get Cliff in here. Cliff, you got the floor. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Thank you, Carlo, for having me, and thank you for the good work. Basically, I can see the timing or so. I may not be able to exhaustively, capture everything that I was able to bring up on this policy, but I'll just say a few. So basically, this financial inclusion strategy is not a new concept from the CBN. It's been here. I think it was incorporated in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And the basic thing that would have been done in the first place is to ask ourselves, why haven't we achieved the success that we intended to at the incorporation of this policy? So all the things that CBN has been doing over time, what has been the percentage achievement till date? There is a reason why we are not making that needed progress in line with all the wonderful initiatives that CBN is putting in place. But in this instance, I'll just speak maybe to two. The first one I have to talk about is actually, infrastructural challenges that we have in the country. So as we speak, we know that if you notice the trend of incidents that are happening across financial institutions, you will notice that the uptime of their applications is gradually trending downwards. And the reason is because the support these applications are getting, those who are providing this support are actually migrating to, safety. And what that has led to is that you're seeing a lot of downtime and a lot of disputes coming out from transactions that are happening in financial institutions. And I hear you mention telcos. Now, one thing again is that these telcos are the ones powering these transactions that the banks are actually doing. So basically, there's a serious challenge when it comes to providing that infrastructure. And apart from the availability of this infrastructure and the efficiency, you're also looking at the outreach. So we're talking about areas where banks are not present, that you're using agents to solve the problems where there are these gaps. Now, these agents are also being affected by this policy because they also will not have access to cash. So when we put agents, agency banking in place to plug the gaps where you don't have the financial institutions, and now the agents cannot have access to cash, how will we solve that problem? The second one I want to speak to is actually about our policy crafting and implementation. So one thing is to formulate policies in Nigeria. Another issue is actually to enforce and implement. We've seen wonderful policies, but when it comes to enforcement, we're lagging behind. And I noticed one clause in that policy, the clause 6, introducing a backdoor into that policy to say that if you have any challenge, that once a month you can actually beat all the controls that have been put in place and do whatever and withdraw huge sums of cash at the end of, once in a month. I can bet you that, it's one area that people will start, exploiting this policy and seeing that it doesn't work. And the greatest problem we even have is the elites themselves. So this policy at the end of the day may be working for the common man on the streets, but the elites will now find ways to circumvent this policy. So I think these are my own concerns. I have a list of them, about 12 risks that I identified in line with my job, but I think I'll leave it here so that others can contribute.
Yeah, just a quick point. I mean, you use a lot of being respectful, big words, right? You said they're running to safety. So you are saying that the Nigerian guys that run the infrastructure are immigrating to Canada. So it's affecting the infrastructure set up to run this space. That's completely correct. Yeah. But still, I believe that in 2012, when we had the cashless banking policy, we didn't have the telcos, we didn't have fintech. So it's like the CBN is bringing back that policy, but now we have a better way of implementing it. Going to the POS, I made the point that you cannot have cashless banking if you can go to a POS and withdraw cash. It defeats the whole purpose, right? So that means that we have to say, it's either we want cashless banking or we want to have this POS banking, but two of them can't stay. Two of them can't stay, right? You can't simply go to a POS guy and get cash. Then that means everybody can go to the POS guy and get cash, and it defeats the whole purpose. So we have to have like a marriage of, should we say, policy or intentions from that. Let's get Louis in here. Louis Tabai. I think you've spoken. Louis, you got the floor. Louis, did you have this?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I didn't speak before because I was on the call. Okay, so most people have said the things I wanted to say. First of all, I like the policy. It's nice. It's going to bring a lot of opportunity. But what are the biggest losers in this policy are the people that currently do this POS business. They're probably about 100,000, maybe 500,000. They're going to lose their jobs because
why would they lose their jobs? Why would they lose their jobs? Why?
Okay, so because I have a few questions to ask you, but because right now they are doing business with cash.
So they'll stop using cash.
Doing cash services and they earn money.
Okay.
So now, when we go cashless, except they will be helping people do transfers from their POS, and they will also charge a fee. Maybe that's how they can earn some money. But since we're limiting cash, their business has gone down. And also, if mobile banking, and this leads to the question, because this mobile banking thing, I know Kenya has been doing it for some years. One of the speakers here said also that he went to Ghana and paid his mobile phone. Now, the thing is, I've not experienced it. The core one that you just use your phone number to make payments, even if it's 16 naira, right? So now, my question is, I've not really researched it, but what is the money domiciled in any bank accounts in particular of your choice? I know it will work. Like I said, I like the policy and this mobile banking because one of these days when there's this issue of change, I don't have change, I just think why can't there be a simple way to just make small amounts of payments so that this issue of change. So now, first of all, POS business people, for them to be in all rural places in Nigeria, it means that the network, even if it's 2G or 3G, right? So if we can have USSD type of mobile banking and it is working, and there's a little fee, there's a little transfer fee or none at all, then that's what's going to help this policy work very well.
Yeah,
also, one of the speakers earlier also said that incentives should be added. So even for our normal transfer that we are doing bank account to bank account, I think they can also reduce the charge. They can also reduce the charge because it's going to increase. Because for instance now, of this now, I've been having some issues with my GTB app to log in. It logs in, but sometimes it doesn't log in. I know some banks are having issues and all that. So if we can have a USSD type of payment that you don't need data, that a rural person in the village can do the transfer, right? I think that's what's going to help. Then another thing, just let me add quickly, this policy is not going to reduce inflation. It's not going to reduce inflation because it's cost of production and policy and other things that increases inflation. This policy, for inflation, no way. It might even slightly add inflation in this first part, in this beginning part. But for other things, it's nice. A lot of opportunities for fintechs and creative people that can do all payment solutions and all that. But if we can have a data-free payment with USSD, this.
All right, Louis. All right, thanks so much. So I think the point again is this, right? If your job is to pay cash This policy is against your job. CBN has made this point. This is the cashless policy. So if your job revolves around paying cash, you are going to suffer. So that's really what it is, right? If the federal government bans vegetables and your job is to sell vegetables, then you can't come and say people that sell vegetables will suffer, right? Because that's the policy. It's been there since 2012. They do not want cash in the economy, right? So they are saying if your job is people can go away from the banks, come to you, and you can then give them physical cash. You can give them 20K, but not to give them 1 million naira. That's the point they're trying to make, right? So you should be able to give people large sums of cash outside the bank because it can't be tracked. That's where they are going to. My good friend Baba 23, you've got the floor, sir. How are you doing today?
Hey, thank you for having me. I just saw the space and just want to. I know I'm not in Nigeria, but I just your title stirred my cashless banking. This cashless banking is basically, the government wanting more control over their people. Their currency is debasing, and we know the Nigerian naira is debasing. So they're selling cashless as very convenient for their public and citizens, but this is actually just controlling the citizens more by watching all the movement of the money. So this is actually a very negative thing. I had one tweet, if it's okay, if I can share it in the nest.
Yeah, you can. But again, Baba, you have to understand the peculiarities of Nigeria. I get where you're coming from. Control and all that. I hear you. But you are in Nigeria. People are being kidnapped, and you are paying ransoms in cash. There's also corruption. In America, there was an American House Speaker that was given a bribe by a Nigerian. Do you know where he put the money? He put the money in his fridge. Why did he take the cash to his bank? Because it will be tracked. So Nigeria has got some peculiarities that trump this idea of that, hey, they want to track us. People want them to be tracked and they want to be safer. That's what I will say to you, right? I don't think what you're saying is wrong, but you've got to understand where Nigerians are coming from, right? There's people who are paying 100 million naira is give or take, if I'm correct, 500,000 naira ransom in cash, dollars, $500,000 ransom. So you can't beat that argument with control. People want the control, you're going to be safer, Suaj. But you've got the floor, sir.
So I was going to just comment is, this doesn't apply just for Nigeria. What I'm saying, it's the fiat currencies are debasing throughout the world. They're backed by anything. Even the US dollar, where I live myself, it's not backed by any gold. It used to be backed by gold before 71. So what happens is, throughout the world, even in India, if you look, they're starting to roll out the EVP. And they're trying to sell to the citizens, even in India, that this is very convenient. Look at this. You can have it on your app. It'll cut down the corruption. But this is where I would tell everyone to just learn that CBDC are evil. They're like ultimate control. And this is going towards what China is. China has rolled out. They're number one in CBDC and controlling their citizens.
But it's not a CBDC. Baba, this is not a CBDC. Again, I have to bring it back to Nigeria. What the Nigerians are saying, this is the same currency we use, but they are saying cashless banking because we have lots of rural areas in Nigeria, and those guys in the villages are not included in the financial sector because they get cash.
Kalu, I would say this is a CBDC marketing. If you take away cash, it is a CBDC because they will have ultimate control. So there will not be any anonymity left.
Okay, so what would you suggest that they do if would they leave the cash in?
So this is where I think Nigerians are smart. They are actually very smart. They understand that their naira has deteriorated, and they're actually going towards sound money. This is where people realize and understand themselves. Once your currency and your nation fails, Why would you trust the same government?
No, I'm asking. So what's the option now for a Nigerian? If you say we don't do cashless, what should they do? What option? So you've given us a problem. You said it's CBDC. So what's the option? What are you asking Nigerians to do?
So I would say Nigerians should use the Naira as a checking account or whatever the local currency is, and then use Bitcoin as a savings account. So this is where I really like to make it clear. Only Bitcoin is money. All the other cryptocurrencies are garbage.
Who invented Bitcoin? If I have Bitcoin, who issues it? Who invents it? Who issues it?
So this is where the cryptographers got together and they wrote a program.
Who wrote it?
This is where I would recommend everyone to learn why.
No. Who issued Bitcoin? Tell me who issued it. Who issued Bitcoin? Who should I hold responsible? If I know who issued the Naira, so who issued Bitcoin? Where should I go to if I have a problem with Bitcoin? Where's the customer service line for Bitcoin?
That's a great question. And this is where the trust, once you understand and learn that this is a decentralized computer network, that you can run your
Which
own
computer? Where's the computer? Where's the server for Bitcoin? Where is it?
No, you can run it yourself.
So with who?
Transactions?
With who?
This is the beauty of Bitcoin. You can run a node.
What does? So what I'm asking is this: we've heard this before. There's a boy in Bahamas that ran away with $30 billion. We haven't yet arrested that boy. There's a boy.
Corruption. I'm so upset that he's running around.
So if who issued, at least we know the dollar is issued by the U.S. government. So in the end, they will come and defend the dollar. We know the euro. The dollar is debased. The euro is debased. The Naira has been printed 20 trillion. I'm not debating that. But if the solution to paper dollar is digital Bitcoin that I don't know who created, has no customer service in quote, which means I can't call anybody. I'm not going to put my money there. I'm not going to take my retirement money and buy Bitcoin. But I can buy dollar.
An example, how I compare Bitcoin and gold, because we all understand that gold is.
I can buy gold, but I can't buy Bitcoin.
No, Nigerians are buying Bitcoin and hordes. They're the biggest, I think, one of the top 2 or 3 people that hold Bitcoin.
Do you know why they're buying Bitcoin? So what? I don't hold the floor up, right? But so what? Do you know why they're buying Bitcoin? Because Nigerians have diaspora remittances, 25 billion minimum that comes to Nigeria every year. $25 billion. You can't move the money through Naira is the base. So Nigerians buy Bitcoin, move it to P2P. That's how they get the money into Nigeria. Then from P2P, they still spend Naira. Nobody spends Bitcoin to buy Coke in Ohafia. Nobody spends Bitcoin to buy a car in Lekki, in quote. Nigerians still spend the debased Naira. Bitcoin is good because Nigerians, it was going up in price, and we were told that during inflation, Bitcoin would hold its value because it has scarcity. But inflation came from 2020 to 2022, and Bitcoin's price crashed. Gold's price stayed up. Stocks crashed. Bitcoin behaved like stocks. It crashed. So the debate for Bitcoin, to me, I don't know what the point is anymore. It doesn't hold up with inflation. It doesn't hold up with value. It's unsafe. There's a kid, like I said, in Bahamas today that has built a fortune on this Bitcoin thing. So I hear you, Bava. I completely hear you, and we've done this connect to Bitcoin, and I didn't want to go there. Go for it.
You can always ask me back.
Go for it.
If you have any other questions.
Go for it.
So this is where I would say, really, I want to your audience, Bitcoin is not crypto. This is very key to understanding. The 20,000 plus crypto coins, there's a CEO that can issue unlimited amounts.
Baba, how are you sure I'm not? How you sure I'm not that guy? How do you know I, Kalu, I did not create Bitcoin? How do you know I'm not that guy? That's what's that guy's name? You guys always quote Satoshi. How do you know I'm not Satoshi?
I can run the Bitcoin node at home and confirm all
Yeah,
the
but how do you know I am not Satoshi? I speaking. How do you know I am not Satoshi?
Because if you were Satoshi, you can actually move your million coins.
But you don't know what I want to do. You don't know when I can move it tomorrow.
No, then you would have to move it and prove that you
But I could move it. I could move it tomorrow, Baba. And that's the point I'm making. You are asking us to put our faith in something we don't even know who created or where it's kept. Nah, I don't know, bro. I hear you.
Can I give one example? Sorry, just and my time. I don't take a lot of hands, so I don't want to point unless other people have any questions. So one example, just to make it clear, gold took 5,000 years to go from a value of $0 to $1,000. Okay, Bitcoin did the same in 10 years.
It doesn't matter, Baba. Baba, again, Baba, you are confusing a return to what money? Money is not held because it returns anything. If I keep $1 in my pocket, I'm not keeping it in my pocket because it's going to return. I'm keeping it to transact, to hold value, and to account for my wealth. It doesn't matter if gold price went up. People that held gold did not hold gold for the price to go up. A pound is a pound of gold. Currency was gold in the Roman era. You don't hold gold because the price goes up. You hold gold to transact.
Exactly.
Why hold Bitcoin if you can't transact? Nobody in Nigeria. Okay, Baba, I hear you. Let's not make this Bitcoin argument. Baba, I will have to move on. We'll have to move on. Thanks, man. I got Haruna Mohammed. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Carlo, this guy is just trying to...
No, he's my good friend. Haruna is my good friend. I know him.
It's not even 30 billion. It's about over $100 billion. I think so. And let me go straight to the point. You see, Carlo, thanks for having me on the space, everybody. Good evening. You see, this cashless banking system is just set to fail. Because one, all our banking system relied on the network, either powered by this service provider, either MTN, Airtel, Glo, or all the, even the fintechs, we rely on them for the service. Now, let me give you a classical example. Let's take Zamfara State, or we take Kaduna State now. When you move out, there's a very big market around grain market at Yakawada. Farmers bring their products to the market for wholesalers to purchase. These farmers live in villages, hinterland. And most of them, when they bring 10 bags, 15 bags, 8 bags, 20 bags, 30 bags. Assuming now a farmer from that distance, maybe he travels maybe, I say, 150 kilometers from the village. Now, what do you expect? How will he be paid? How will he be paid? And these are people that they're peasant farmers. So at times, when they bring out their stuff to sell, they have their daughters to get to get married of their families, weddings and naming ceremonies, etc., and revolving funds to run the house. Now, these people, how do you want them to live? You see, our basic problem in this country is that we fashion our economic policies based on the Western world. No, we should fashion our policies based on our own inherent economic policy. Not that you see, that is why this country, if you notice, most of the time, that is why we keep on failing.
Okay, Haruna.
Why don't we generate our own?
Let's not go far. Haruna, hold on. You said it's going to fail because this thing can work with just GSM and SMS. You don't need smartphone. If the farmer has a phone, it can work. It can work.
That is what I'm telling you. The networks are not there.
Okay, hold on. Okay, but I've gone to Yobe, to that cattle market in Yobe. They do about 3 billion.
Which one?
The one in Yobe, the one in Yobe, where they sell, all the guys come from Mali and sell cows with huge horns. I've been to that one. Yeah. I've been to the one in Katsina. I've been and you'll see the cash is literally on the floor. They will put the cash on the floor. Billions of naira. You see Sefa. You see all the stuff on the ground.
Yes.
But in that place, there's GSM. In that market, there's GSM. Same way in the one in Bauchi, there's GSM in that market.
Which one in Bauchi? You see, I want you to.
Haruna, let me make the point. Let me make my point. Haruna, let me make my point. Let me make my point, Haruna. In the market, there is GSM in the market. There might not be GSM in your house, but there's GSM in the market. There's GSM in that market because they're on the phone calling and negotiating. So why can't they pay from their phone to their phone?
That is what I'm telling you. You don't understand. I want you to just listen. You have a herder that is in a remote village that brought his herds to the market to sell, and he's going back to his village, and he doesn't have any banking facility in his village to start with that you can transfer the money that he can go and withdraw even 10,000. He doesn't have that facility. In the north, if you take some states, you.
So, but Haruna, he's not going to take the billions from that market to his house.
There's no single bank running in Birnin-Gwari.
Haruna,
From Birnin-Gwari
you are being.
Kagara.
Haruna,
the terrorists attack Kagara. Kagara now they move to Mina. So tell me now
how. Haruna, he's not going to take that billion to his house in the village, is he? Where does he keep that cash? Where does he keep it?
Let's be realistic.
I'm asking you a question now. Where will he keep the cash? The billions that I see, where will he keep them?
I'm not saying billions. He comes with 5 herds.
Okay, how much is 5 herds?
200,000 naira.
Where will he keep that 200,000 naira? Where will he keep it?
He's taking it home now. We
Where?
have people in the village that keeps more than that now.
Okay, so but
please, I want us to be objective.
You're not.
Let's be realistic. I'm a farmer. I know how I transact business with my produce. I'm a practical farmer. So I'm telling you the reality of the business. It's not a business. If in the villages where these workers work for us, we pay them in a day. You pay labor of about 50,000. They don't have any banks there. So how do you expect? How do you want us to pay them? How do you want us to pay them? For labor in the farm, on a daily basis, I pay labor of about 80 to 100,000. And now you are telling me I can withdraw 20,000. How am I going to pay my workers then?
Okay, Hannah, can I?
And these workers, I will pay somebody 5,000. I'll pay somebody 10,000. I'll pay somebody 6,000. I'll pay somebody this excess amount. I have like daily workers on my farm, minimum 10 daily from morning till evening. And then you are telling me that I can withdraw only 20,000. Then how can I pay them? These are people that are in their village. There's no farm. There's no network. So the villagers, there's no bank within 60 kilometer radius from my farm. There's no bank. So how will these people earn a living?
Haruna, allow me to speak, Haruna. Allow me to make a comment back to you, sir.
All right.
It is exactly someone like you, sir, that the central bank has created a policy for. You've asked a lot of questions. You've said you have a lot of day laborers that you pay cash to. You also have a lot of people that transact in cash. The question I am asking is this: before the Naira note was created, how did farming and business happen in that locality? Before the Naira note and any note was created, how did transactions happen in that location? Before the Naira.
I'm not hearing you.
Before you had the Naira note, before we had paper currency, how did you
The network is not funny. If you're hearing me, can I log out and log in?
Yes.
I'm not hearing you.
Yes, you can. Speaker, can you hear me? Speaker, can you just unmute and hear? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So maybe Haruna has to log out and log back in. Yeah. So I mean, the point I wish he didn't go because I want him to respond. The point I'm making is this, right? Every technology is going to be a change of behavior. We are used to cash. We are stuck on cash. That's why we are not going to have it easy to change from cash to non-cash. If partner is paying 10 people by cash, all those 10 guys, I can assure you, have a phone. If they don't have a phone, let him buy them a phone and pay them that phone to their money into their phone. In Kenya, They are using their phones to pay for 5 naira, 10 naira, 15 naira. This thing is not technology. It's not difficult. The CBN is putting the limit at 20 because they want to force him to stop using cash. When he uses cash, he attracts bandits. He attracts bad guys. He attracts people that want to sell those cows to fund terrorism. Imagine if you couldn't steal a cow because you need a bank account to pay the money in. Have you not stopped? Have you not stopped ranching? What's it called when they steal cows? What's that word when you steal cows? You've stopped it now. If as long as you have rustling, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. As long as you are paying cash for cattle in a rural area, clearly you're going to have crime. But if you say you can only pay that money into your phone, then who will steal your cattle? Are we tying the national security implication to this stuff? If I have to sell that cow, I can only get paid to my phone number, which is NIN enabled, then how would I steal? Because the bank will see that you had a deposit into this account for 500,000 naira for 5 cows. But as long as there is cash, there will be the insecurity. This is to take cash away from those markets. If you go to those markets, I have been there, you will see pallets, not just of naira, West African currency, naira, pallets, cash, sitting there. That you come, you buy, sitting there. So is it said they take all that cash back home? Of course not. They take that cash, it goes to one secure place, and that's where they keep it. And then people come the next market day and it's exchanged again. That's what's going on. You go to Somalia, the same thing. Cash, cash, cash. It's insecurity, it's inefficient, it's outside the monetary control of the Central Bank of Nigeria. It can't stand. So it has to be a change. Not even POS, cash. So I wish Hannah would come back. I've got Maliki. I wish Hannah would come back and let's really dimension this cash now. If he comes hands off, sir, I'll add it. But first, I got you. First speaker, go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. K. Thank you for that brilliant explanation. Nigerians, you don't need a smartphone. Hello, let me tell you something. 8 years ago, my organization were paying community. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead.
We're paying a rural community in Togo, in Ghana,
I can't hear you guys.
in Benin Republic, in Mali. Now, this mobile money thing, I've heard about it 8 years ago. Standard Chartered was doing it in those communities. Because when my organization is paying these people, we want to record. So Standard Chartered created it because they've used it before in India. So they created it. They said all the people need is mobile number because all of them have mobile phone. They said it's just mobile number. We transfer the money with a certain code. They get the money. When they get to anywhere they want to buy things, all they need to do to send another code to that merchandise and the person give them the cash equivalent, or they use it to buy something. Look, I don't agree with the fact that people kept on saying the people in the rural area, they are illiterate, they don't know what they are doing. As long as you use a mobile phone, the financial inclusion we are talking about, this is the beginning. This is the beginning. We cannot stop to old ways. If we talk about innovation, if we talk about moving forward, if we talk about doing things as far as like the rest of the world, the man that sells cattle, in fact, can you believe, Mr. Kalu, the village man sometimes is richer than the person who live in the city center because he puts his money under the bed. One of the guys that was selling water for me in Abuja went to his village, coming from the farm after selling his produce. He was shot on the leg, and all his money was taken away. Imagine if that the money was transferred to him via mobile phone. The person who is following him from the market would not have followed him because he doesn't even know. He doesn't have money because he comes back empty. Please, guys, it's difficult here, but I'm telling you, we need to start. If you're paying somebody 10,000, 20,000, as long as they all have mobile phone, do transfer to all of them. It gives you, even you yourself can go back and check how much you have spent to give those people. You don't need internet. You only need a mobile phone. It's been working in other African countries years back. Years back. Somebody is in Nigeria, is sending money to his family in his country with just the SSD code. Please, let's do out of this. It's not against it. No. We need to start doing things.
so that these artisans, these people that are doing petty business can be brought into the economic system. By the way, if the 40 million that we're talking about are bankable, if you add another 30 million, it's going to help Nigeria a lot, nationally and locally. This is not, yes, we know the telcos are messed up, but I tell you, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. We need to start taking this thing. Thank you very much, Haruna.
Thanks, Speaker. I have Haruna back. Haruna, I don't know, you dropped off. I don't think you could hear us. So can you hear me now, Haruna? Thank you first. Haruna, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. The network, as usual.
Yes, I hear you. So Haruna, I heard everything you said, and everything you said is correct. I'm not debating what you are saying. I am saying to you, sir, that we have got to move to the next level. Before we start to use paper currency, we use something else. Then we moved to paper currency, and we now move to even banking. So we have got to move to the next level. The point is this, sir. Everybody in your farm has a phone or can have a phone, and everybody in your farm can get paid via SSD text. Everybody on that phone. So
agreed.
It can be solved. The issue of 20,000 is on purpose. They want to make it hard for you to pay them with cash. That's why they put it there. It's on purpose. So I get the pain, but the pain is to force you to transit to cashless banking. It's not safe, sir. How many times? It's not safe.
I agree with you. But now you have a system whereby there's no network service where I reside.
I hear you.
Where I can get network will take me like 30 kilometers.
Okay, so that means, Haruna, that means that
to access my money, and then I'm going to buy stuffs now. So you see, what I'm saying is that we can increase the limit, just maybe 50 or 100. Then we make sure the service is extended to communities. When you have a roll-up of service, the total network coverage in Nigeria, per state, ends within the local government and then on the main highway. And some highways, you don't even have networks. That is why you see people now moving with 2-3 handsets. If you are moving, if MTN drops, you go to Glo. If Glo drops, you go to Etisalat. Okay, where they have net. What of those that they don't have networks where they reside?
Okay, Haruna, listen. When GSM started in Nigeria, it was in Lagos only, right? It was in Lagos, then Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, then they started to move to other cities. Do you know why they didn't come to Abia State first? Because there is no the revenues in Lagos are more than the revenues in Abia State. There is no cell tower in your community because, quote unquote, there are no revenues in your community. If there was a revenue in your community, they will come. Now, if they know that all those people in your community have a phone and that phone has got cash on that phone and that phone is going to be used as their bank, which means people are going to be buying water for 5 naira, for 10 naira, they're going to be buying corn for 5 naira, 10 naira, then you will see people go to your community and invest. You have got to create the incentive to drive cell towers to come to your state. And the only way you can is if those population now become banks. Right now, you only have banks. So the cell company will say, oh, there are only 4 banks here. Why should I put a cell tower there? It doesn't make any sense to me. But if there are 10,000 people with phones and there's commerce, Haruna, you have to let me talk. Haruna, you have to let me talk. Haruna, you have to let me talk. When there is a community of users that are doing commerce, then there'll be a small cell site powered by solar, even if it's in the mosque, even if it's in the town center, where people can go and say, okay, meet me here and transfer the money. That's how you drive that inclusion, sir. Haruna, I've got the floor.
Okay. You see, it's a subject of debate because
we have to move forward, Haruna. Let me get Mustafa in here. Let me get Mustafa.
When you talk of national security level, you see, energy is part of national security.
Haruna,
food is part
Haruna,
of national security.
You cannot have.
No, listen to me just a minute, Carlo. I agree with what you are saying, but then you see, our enablers, we have to get good enablers. If we have good enablers, if the government can just increase it to maybe 50, and then later on, when the transaction is moving, they set in the networks, and then they can revert back to 20. It will be good.
Okay.
15, yeah, that's my point.
All right.
We can just improve the limit and then create the enabling environment, and then they can even revert it to 5,000. It won't be a problem. Because if you can pay somebody, he has a phone, you can do it. Like more money is doing, MTN is doing more money. In Gawano, the transactions, in a market, they transact over 500 million. People don't travel from Lagos to Gawano market to buy grains there. They just send their money, more money to their agent there, and he loads the trucks. He receives his alert, he pays, and then the trucks moves. Agreed, it's a very good project. It reduces even security, the risks of carrying bulk of cash. It has been established, that has been established. But what I'm talking is that where there's no dollar, just for those people, increase it maybe to 50, provide the enablers, then you can even reduce it to 1,000.
Okay.
That's why
okay, Harna, I hear you, but let's get Harna, I hear you. Let's get someone else. Let's get Mustafa in there. Mustafa, you got the floor, sir. Mustafa, how are you doing? Thanks for being patient with us. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. And Baraka Dema to Haruna Mohammed. You've made a lot of back and forth about this thing. But one thing I want us to understand is we are always scared of new policies in Nigeria. I remember in 2003 or so, when Solido brought the consolidation policy of having 25 billion by banks. I was in Maiduguri then as finally undergraduate. And then even myself, I was like, this is a crazy policy. It was not going to happen. And Nigerians shouted and said everything. We all said everything. And at the end of the day, that policy worked. And I was one of those who benefited from that policy because immediately I finished my NYSC. I think about 2 weeks after, that was like 2 months, or the second month in February 2006, was this also when the policy started. I got a job with bank, and we were hurriedly recruited because the bank just consolidated and there were more branches and hands were needed. I wasn't trained, I just went in. A lot of people got jobs with the bank, so it benefited us, but earlier, before then, we said a lot of things wasn't going to happen. And STB and UBA, joined together with one or two other banks, and they had all the money. So sometimes when policies come, we always, criticize it because we feel it's taking us away from the norm. We are so much used to cash in Nigeria that when we go to other places and come back, we have to adapt, because our ways are the old-fashioned ways. Somebody was saying about Ghana, before one or two people talked about Ghana here, that they went there, the amount of cash they have, or they use to do their transactions with all these locals is very minimal. And Nigeria, we are saying it's not possible. But I tell people it's possible. One, because even the people Haruna Mohammed is talking about, if you go to all these localities, everybody has a phone. I've been to a village. We went to one village here close to Kaduna, and we bought, I think, ram during one festivity. And one person who was an agent who helped us bought those rams had a phone, but in his village, there was no network. So whenever he comes to the village market, he uses the phone. He gave us his phone number that whenever we call, we should just send a message. And whenever he's in a place where the network works, he would get the message. So what I'm saying is, as soon as this policy comes, all these people in rural areas understand about money. They understand that they need to earn. And if you tell them they could do this thing with their phones, yes, initially there will be a shocker, but give us 1 month. I tell you, give us 1 month. By January, by February, we would have all adapted. We would have seen all the mistakes and it will work. This is something that, see, how much cash do people carry, When I was in the back, we did one program and they told us that about 90% of people who go to the bank withdraw 5,000 naira or below. And it was true. You just walk in the bank and you see people drawing 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 40,000. And like Kalu said earlier, Nigerians don't use a bank for anything. They just withdraw all their money. You see somebody earning 40,000 and he withdraw for the last cover and he goes. So these things, I tell us, everything. We have the infrastructure. We just
All right.
there are some teething problems that are going to happen, but it will work. It will work.
Thank you, Mustafa. I appreciate that. Let me get Abdul Malik. Abdul Malik is.
Mr. Kalu, can I quickly chip in something? I want to
hold on. Sorry. Yeah. So Abdul Malik, I want Abdul Malik as someone in real estate, entrepreneur in Abuja, dealing with the quote-unquote professional class. What's your take on all this, sir?
Okay, so from the Abuja perspective, first and foremost, I want to thank Mustafa because he actually said a lot of the things I want to say. I shared a life journey with him. After post-consolidation, we all got jobs, because of the strength of the financial system, without knowing anybody, straight from NYC. We didn't spend a day at home, and that's how we all made our careers. So in real estate, we have two issues. Well, one, people pay. You have to pay through the bank because of the prices of building assets. If you want to buy a house, you're paying minimum 5 million, 10 million. It has to be through a bank account. That is stated, so we don't have an issue in terms of receiving payments. Now, when we pay laborers, that's when we use cash on site on a daily basis. There are people that work, daily workers, we pay them cash. But even now, even before this policy, we started paying the foreman and then transferring the money to him, and then the foreman transfers to everybody's phone. As long as they get their alert, they are fine. And there are many, we use Remitter, and so it's very easy. We don't have any issue with adapting to it. Like you said, everybody has a phone, and here we don't have network problems as it were. Of course, the telcos or the banks might have some downtime, but I was just asking my wife when we started this space that, look, how many transfers, on the average, if you do 10 transfers, how many actually fail? And she was like, maybe half, or half, that's 0.5, not even up to 1. We really overflog these issues of transfer failure, this and this. You might have one bad experience, and then you see, you remember the times where we used to have withdrawal issues on ATMs, reversal, all these things now are things of the past. There are times that you go to different ATMs, just to withdraw your cash, and the sound of the machine doing brrr was like a relief because you were not sure whether if you put your card there, you will get. These are things of the past now. Personally, as a person now, I don't carry cash. I don't touch cash. I can spend 6 weeks without touching cash, physical money. I transfer money to everybody for anything and everything, from the tomato seller in the market to my food, to people I want to dash money to, somebody will develop an app where you have a QR code. I want to give you money with NFC and everything. Just touch my phone and touch your phone, and that's it. Transaction is done. I give you the money I want to give you. And like you said, Kalu, so that's the urban environment in terms of real estate and everything. We don't have any issues. This is the welcome development. It's a normal thing. We'll just continue. When you go to the villages now to answer Haruna's issues, and people call me from Azere, I'm from Azere, and everybody calls you, they will send you account number. Whatever number is there, you just transfer. Everybody has an account. In fact, it's money, not First Money. First Inland Bank was doing transfers 10 years ago with just phone number. You didn't need to have an account with FinBank. You can transfer to somebody's phone number, using it as an account number. Everybody has said the story of M-Pesa. I've been going to Kenya for the past 12 years, and you don't need cash in Kenya. There's nothing like that. Nobody uses cash. If you go to, and Kenya they have rural, their own demographics. Also the same with Nigeria.
That is true.
So
that is true.
Really, we cannot do.
As a matter of fact,
it's very possible. Where there's no network, like you said, is opportunity. People are not seeing the opportunity. They're only seeing the weakness and threats. What of the opportunities? There are a lot of, we have financial inclusion in the North is really zero. It's very, very low. The banking coverage, all those things are there. So, but like you said, why should a bank or a cell tower be put in a place where there is no profit, where people don't buy data. But not if they're forced to buy data, then there's business, and then the person will go. There's opportunity. This POS business that they're doing, everybody has POS everywhere now. You know, they pay, give cash, and 95% of the people, 99% of the people don't withdraw up to 20,000. So these guys, and then it's a total financial system. They forget that POS operators is also enabled to collect deposit. And then big institutions now like food stations have millions of naira still. And they don't know, they won't, I mean, they shouldn't be taking their money to the bank. Ideally, they should be sorting cash, you know, get these licenses. If I own a filling station now, like AIM Shafa or all of these big stations that we have a lot of money, volumes, we do 100 million naira daily. I'll get a cash operating license or whatever they call the license of CBN. I can't remember the exact name. Come and be doing sorting. It's a side business that might even give me more money than my core business. We'll sort the cash and give these POS operators, give banks to put in ATMs. I can even put ATM in my own filling station and people will use it and pay me. You know, so it's a system. And we should be looking at seeing the opportunities. Okay, where are the gaps? There are gaps. Okay, there's no network in this village. How can we take network to this village that there's no network?
I agree.
But like you said, fundamentally, how were people trading before and Kobo? People always trade. If I agree that this alert that I'm going to get, this message is payment, and you can use that payment just to be going to somebody and get goods and services, and that's it now. That's currency. That's trading. Trading. People must trade, and they will find a way to do it.
Even if it means the village square or the village school will have the internet access that you go to, people will find a way. It's business. If I put a solar cell tower, I'm very, very sure MTN will start to sell. Oh, if you need a small solar tower, come and get from me. Put it in your house. People they will do it. There will be opportunities. People will do it. 5 years ago, we didn't have GSM phones. Sorry, I mean we didn't have these wallets on GSM. Now we do. When did we have fintech? When did fintech start? I wrote a book. Like I tell people, I wrote a book. I have not collected cash. People will go online to Amazon. Let me give you my story. In Nigeria, I can't use Amazon. Everywhere in the world, people buy my books. I don't see them. They pay on Amazon. It comes to my account. Bam. I don't. It's only Nigeria. Only Nigeria. No. But I'm just saying. Only Nigeria that I have to go. And people will pay cash.
Watch it very well. Should be wearing.
You got what I'm saying, sir. So we have to move ahead. In Kenya, Amazon, they buy my books on Amazon. They pay online. In Egypt, the same thing. But Nigeria, they don't. You can't do it in Nigeria. Why? Because cash. Infrastructure. So let's move ahead, guys. I mean, thank you so much for that. Give us your own perspective. I appreciate it. Econ Bro. True Econ Bro. How are you doing, sir? You've got the mic, sir. Go ahead.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, cool. Good evening to everyone listening. So, first of all, let me just say, I think there are merits to the cashless policy, and then there are demerits. There are things that are good about it, and there are things that aren't good about it. I don't necessarily want to focus on what's good and what isn't, because I'm sure that even before I signed it, a lot of people have shared a couple of other opinions. But I'd just like you to see things from this perspective. So, first of all, but I would like to say, based on what I've heard so far, and I've been following your tweets, the major point of this whole cashless thing is security, right? If I'm not mistaken, Kalu, right?
Not security. It's cashless banking. It's not security. The policy is cashless banking. Cashless banking is more efficient for the economy as a whole. The North is just that there's insecurity in certain parts of the North. In the East, it's cashless banking. In the North, cashless banking. West, cashless banking. In America, it's cashless. China, cashless.
Okay,
UK, cashless.
Fine. Now, we can debate whether or not a cashless society is good for the economy. I don't think that's the argument we need. I don't think that's a necessary argument, at least for me to make at this point. To sell this to Nigeria, I believe the best place for the Nigerian government to come from, which is pretty much what I've been hearing. I spoke to a friend of mine who works at the central bank weeks ago, long before any of this, there was any whisper about anything of the sort, and he told me this was happening. And the excuse he gave me, or the reason rather, I would say, is security. That was what he told me. So when I hear people make the argument about security, anyway, that's beside the point. Now, on the issue of the economy, I'll address that, whether or not it's good for the economy. I would address that later. On the issue of securing transactions, of tracking transactions, I don't think that is a valid argument in any way, shape, or form. For instance, we have the NIN number thing in Nigeria. We have the BVN. Yet, you cannot tell me there is... we still have crisis in the country. We have the governor of a state in Nigeria who has come out to say they have the location of these terrorists, these bandits, yet they cannot track them. So anyone using security as a reason why, because they can track transactions and all that, anybody using that is sincerely being insincere. The person is being insincere because we have a government that knows where these bandits are according to the words of our own leaders, and they have done absolutely nothing to apprehend these people. So for them to turn around and say that they are doing this for security reasons, which is what my friend at the
we can't go with what your friend at the central bank.
That is disingenuous.
No,
and that's the first thing I would like to address. The second thing I would like to say is that this is actually an immoral. I think it's immoral, not the plan in itself, but the forcing it on people. I believe it to be immoral. Now, I think it was Abdul Malik that said it, or someone before him, Haruna, that all his transactions are cashless transactions. I hardly transact with cash anymore. So it's not like I'm one old school person who likes to use physical cash to do everything. But I believe that everyone has the right to either transact in cash or transact however him or her chooses to transact. For the government to impose their will on the people is condescending. I think it's immoral for you to think that you are much smarter than the rest of the society, and then go ahead and impose your will on them. I think that is wrong. These people are put into office to follow us, not to impose, or rather to lead us.
Bro, hold on. Let's talk the economics of it, right? I don't want us to get into the more. Let's talk the economics of it. I'm gonna about a minute, sir.
Sorry, what? I didn't catch that.
What
was last?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I said it's immoral. Now let me explain why it's another reason why it is a terrible and an immoral idea.
I don't want to talk about the immorality, sir. I don't want to go there. Let's talk about the policy, the economic.
The reason why you do not want to go there is because.
Hello. Sorry, guys. So let's just make the point, guys. Twitter is open for everybody, right? You can make any point you want to make. I want to focus on the policy. I'm not a fan of Emefiele. I'm not a fan of the government today. They've run the country to the ground. I want to respect the guys on the space that tune in every Saturday and talk about the policy. If you have a divergent view on this policy, I will let you speak. I'm not creating any comments. If you come on, I urge you say what you want to say, but stay on the policy. Governments anywhere, was Obamacare moral or immoral? Was it not imposed on the American people? Didn't half of America say they don't want Obamacare? Should we then remove Obamacare because half the people say they don't want it? Does this policy not solve some problems? We've had the problems. We've had also the good sides of it. No policy is 100% good. None. So let's stay on the policy. Haruna has come to give us what he does not like about the policy. And what he said is correct. We are then saying, okay, we hear you, but we also like this about the policy. Let's also adopt it. No policy is 100% correct, guys. Let's stay on policy. I've got your hand up, sir. Mr. Non-academic prof. Interesting. You got the first, go ahead.
All right, so can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good day to everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. I've been meaning to speak a long time, so I don't
lose some of the points I have noted down. So first of all, the thing is, when you bring feelings into economics, you tend to lose it. And then when you bring your hate for the government into economics and policies, you're also going to lose it. Just like Kalu has said, he's not a fan of Emefiele. Neither am I a fan of Emefiele, and I'm also not a fan of the government. But then we have to analyze the policy and see. Sorry, can you still hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Make your point, sir. If you don't mind, sir. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. I can hear you very well, yeah.
Regardless of if we like the government or not, I believe it's a good policy. Now, this is the angle and the aspect I am coming from. We were told that we had inflation of about 21.09. That should be October figure of this year. And basically what inflation is excessive money in circulation. The CBN came out and told us of their 3.23 trillion. What we have within them is just a little amount. Thereby, so about 2.73 trillion is outside of the bank. Now they came up with this restrictive monetary policy to see how to force money back into the banks. They increased cash reserve ratio. It went up by 10%. So the banks have to bring this money back into the Apex Bank. And then they increased the interest rate. Currently, interest rate is about 28.5. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that's what we give. 28.5. So that this money will leave the consumer's hands back into the banks, and from the banks back to the Apex banks. What the CBN needs to do, or what they intend to do, is to have control of the economy. It is what these policies are meant to control.
So are you saying that this policy will help inflation? Is that what you're saying?
No. For inflation to go down at this point, there must be a policy mix. This policy is not going to bring inflation down automatically, but I'm heading to somewhere, right? It's a start. It's not instant. This is not just the only policy that will make everything change. It can't change now. But the problem with people who will be impacted by some of these policies is that they fail to see beyond today. They fail to see, in fact, if they want to even see is next month. Nobody reasons long term in this thing. They just feel like, oh no, you're trying to make us poorer. How do you make someone who doesn't even have 20,000 in his account poorer by telling him that he cannot withdraw more than 20,000 in a day? I don't see the point. Like, he doesn't even have it. So how does it even affect him in the first place? But then you see, we are the ones who tend to fight the government over this policy. The House of Representatives, they are calling the CBN governor to come to halt this plan, and they were saying all sorts of things. That is going to make the poor poorer and all of that. But this policy is actually aimed at that 1% of people who have hoarded this money beyond. So they redesigned the Naira, which I believe is a masterstroke. But how do you control people that when they deposit this money, now we work on Saturdays at banks, people go and they deposit the money that they've kept a long time ago. So what control measures would you put in place to ensure that when this money gets into the bank, it doesn't go back? Because I can as well go and deposit my 2 billion, find means to ensure my 2 billion gets back into the bank. And then when the new notes are rolled out, I'll go and start making withdrawals.
So non-alcoholic, let me ask a question, sir. Where do you live, sir? Do you live in the urban area or the village? Where do you live? Urban or rural? Where do you live? Not the state, just urban or rural. Even when I was in Lagos, right, a long time ago, I didn't use cash. I don't remember the last time I used cash for anything. It's my card. Maybe I take cash and pay someone. I use card for anything. My phone, my card, plastic, and all that. When I travel, I don't use cash and all that. The point I'm making is this: people only use cash because they haven't seen the other side. Cash is convenient because they haven't seen the other side. Same in Nigeria. Why would you carry cash when you can be robbed? Why would you carry cash when you cannot get change? You know, there are many things that are sold in Nigeria for 19 naira. You can't pay for it because you don't have one kobo coin. So you pay 20 naira. You go to the restaurant, your bill is 19,777 naira. You pay 2K because you don't have the coins. Online money is convenient, it's safer, it's cheaper, it's more efficient. Cash does not come near digital money. People carry cash because they don't have the option. Hence, the government, what the CBN is trying to do, let's critique what they're doing, how they're doing it later. But what they want to do is to introduce you to digital money. If you have your phone on your MTN, your cash in your MTN or Airtel, and you use that, you won't go back to cash. Once you go black, you can't go back. Once you go cash, you can't go back. That's what they're trying to do. That's why if they give you that cash, you won't go back. If they take cash away from you, you won't go back. And you would watch it 5 years from today. We'll look back and say, wow, we used to use cash. When GSM phones came, didn't Nitel exist? Didn't phone boxes exist? Who goes to Nitel today? It's the exact same thing. We used to have a time, if you want to buy a ticket, you go physically to the airport to buy a ticket. I never used to go online. Now we all go online, don't we? Don't we all go online and buy a ticket and all that? The same thing. We are just not used to it because we have high cash. This argument in Kenya wouldn't make any sense. People be like, are they arguing over cash and not cash? Kenyans won't understand what we're talking about because they've moved on. We're the largest economy in Africa and transactions are cash-based. You count all that cash. Did you see the videos of people that were taking cash back to Nigerian banks? Do you see that cash? Old, dirty, fossilized paper notes? Come on. So if you want to have a comeback, sir, go ahead and we'll move on, sir. Number, are you okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I wanted you to.
Go ahead. You got the point. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Go ahead and make your call, then we'll just move on, yeah?
All right. So we're actually driving at the same place, right? What they're trying to do is to ensure that these digital products are being sold and that people embrace digital products. From the memo that was released, they are not saying that you cannot take more than 20,000. They are saying that if you do that, you will part with 5% as an individual, and as a corporate, you will part with 10%, and you will get ND's approval for it. It will make you yourself who want to even take that cash to be like, okay, I want to even make a payment for this. Why don't I just go ahead and make a transfer? It's best. It's better for you. You don't need to carry physical cash. I myself have not carried physical cash in a very long while. So this is what the policy is trying to bring, and it creates a very healthy competition amongst the banks. I mean, everybody's going to strengthen their digital channel. If you snooze, you lose. People move to your competitors. The same thing will happen with the telecoms. With what MTN is doing on, I think, Momo Money, a lot of them will also come up to see how they can compete in that market. So the people who complain that they are in rural areas and hence need to carry cash, I don't see that argument as valid, because I can make a call to my grandmother in the village and she will hear me clearly. And then there are USSD to make transfer. So why not make use of them?
I hear you. I hear you. But let's also, I hear you, but also remember that people's realities are their realities. If you live in a village and you have a phone with cash on the phone, but you have no network, it's real. So let's also remember that people's realities are also real, right? So those guys saying that if you have workers in the village, even if you have a GSM phone, if there's no network, it's also real. But we're saying that this would attract investment to the village. I hear you, bro. Let's get Salisu in here, sir. Salisu Mukhtar, you got the floor, sir. Thanks so much. Salisu, can you hear us? Go ahead. Salisu. Okay, I've got Anwole. Sorry. I got Simon. Mr. Simon Obasi. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Carlo. Good evening.
How you doing? Good day.
Yeah, very well. Yeah, I mean, thanks for this program. I think it's quite educating. So I think the first thing I want to say is that this debate as to whether the policy is good or bad will continue for a long time. We'll recall that, I mean, 10 years ago, this policy was rolled out, and then pilots were run. I would think that the CBN has some level of data that you and I may not have, that could also have necessitated them driving this policy at this point. So maybe we should give them the benefit of the doubt.
I am. That's what we're doing. I support, to be clear, I support the cashless banking policy of the CBN. I support what they are doing today, even to restrict the cash. I support it. I think it's pain. It's like pain towards the goal. I support it, just to be clear.
Exactly. So that's the first part. The second thing I want to talk about is to the extent that the CBN continues to keep deposit cost at zero. I think this will encourage people to pull all the monies that they have back to the banks.
What of transfers though? Transfers are still transfers.
Yeah. Over time, so that not in few months or years to come, they will say, okay, there is now cost of deposits. So let them just keep it at zero. That will also make people to bring all the money that they have back to the banking system. But in terms of the villages, I mean, personally, when I got to hear of this policy, I also thought of the people in my village, and I then called some of my relatives who are down in the village to ask them how they are coping. Interestingly, they're actually aware of the program. I mean, it's not like they are not aware. Well, I mean, this is my own reality. I don't know for other people. So, but I mean, the people I spoke to, they are aware of the program, of the policy, and everybody's thinking of how they are going to cope, But one thing I also think that the CBN can do, or probably the government in general, is for those in the villages, I mean, the struggle is really real. One of the things they can do is try to reach out to maybe the village heads, maybe through the town criers, and ask them to please maybe organize some kind of training for everybody in the villages. That way, they can drive some level of information dissemination, and that way they can reach their goals. So, I mean, I don't have a lot of things to say about this, but
Right.
On a final note, I hope that CBN, considering the fact that ATMs at the moment, you can get 500 naira notes and 1,000 naira notes on a going forward basis. I hope they can make the ATMs to be able to release as much as maybe 50 to 100 notes at a time. Because, I mean, if you want to get 20,000 naira, it means you need approximately 100 notes.
That's the point, sir. Don't you get it? The point is that it's difficult for you to get it. Don't you get it, Simon? That's what they're trying to do. They want to make it very difficult for you to get cash.
No, I'm saying that if you put a maximum at 20,000, right? Then you shouldn't penalize me so much because I want to get the same.
But they are, because they want to make it hard for you to even get the 20. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just telling you why they're doing it. That's what I'm saying. They are doing it on purpose so that you don't go get the cash in the first place. Then transfers are good. That's what they're trying to do, sir. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's my point.
I'm just telling you why it's done that way. It's a brilliant suggestion. I said ATM should be free, transfers should be free, deposits should be free for the next 6 to 8 months at least. Let folks get used. That's my point. But they are doing it this way to force guys that like Haruna's people now. They are targeting people like Haruna to move him away from cash to non-cash. That's what they want to do. You get the point I'm making? Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, Simon. Yeah. How you doing? Chuku. Go for it. how you doing? Can you hear us?
Good afternoon, Carla. Good afternoon, everyone. For me, the policy is good. I remember the first space you had when you spoke about redesigning the currency. I actually mentioned that policy will not have the desired effect if we don't limit cash withdrawals. So I'm really fine with the policy. And I remember also talking about financial institutions integrating POS vendors into a kind of agent banking relationship. And that's something that I believe would actually mitigate most of the problems we have, especially in the rural areas. For me, like I said, the policy is good, but I'm going to score the CBN 0 on implementation and communication.
Sure.
Just like most people have said. I mean, this is a policy with very far-reaching effects, and you just rolled it out like that. No. They did a very poor job. In fact, this kind of policy should have taken nothing less than 2 years to properly pilot and roll out. And because you're trying to put the support systems that need to make it effective in place, you're trying to get the unbanked population in, and now you're penalizing them, with fees and all of that, and making life very difficult for them. So I'm wondering what plans the CBN had, because this is where SMEDAN should come in. This policy is going to affect a lot of small and medium-scale businesses. SMEDAN, the state's internal revenue, financial institutions, and all needed to come together to actually find a working agreement. So for the CBN to just roll this out on their own without thinking of, the systems that would, actually make this possible, I really don't know what they were thinking, when they did that. And then, people have spoken about the systems we have in Kenya and all of that. I mean, I use Zelle, and I'm kind of really comfortable with Zelle because in as much as it's in your banking application.
Is that in Nigeria? I use that in Nigeria?
No.
Oh, okay. You just gave yourself.
Okay, so but I think Quick Teller also had something like that a while back. I'm really not sure, but I kind of prefer that system to what the telcos have because I don't want to have to buy your SIM card to be able to use your service like what the MTN mobile money does. I should just use whatever phone number I have to set up an account and do what I want to do. And also, Zelle, since we don't have a proper marketplace in Nigeria, that kind of payment system also provides a level of comfort to both the seller and the buyer, or both parties.
I think
transaction.
I get you. Let me just try. Let me say so. Let me not to do advert. I'm not doing advert, but let me just say how the services that are available right now in Nigeria that are available. If you want to pay phone to phone, there are tons of apps that you can use. Tons phone to phone, but the biggest guys, of course, MTN and Airtel. That means if I have an MTN phone, I can transfer money to you. You don't even have to have the app. You can receive the money if you have. I can send money to you from my MTN phone or my Airtel phone. Those are the biggest ones out there. If you own a shop, GTB has virtual POS. That means on your phone, you can have a POS on your phone. You can receive payments on your phone. Let's not talk about Flutterwave. Flutterwave is there. I use Flutterwave. I write my invoices. I get paid. It goes to my bank. I don't even do it. It tracks it for me. It does everything. So the point is that there are options out there. You don't need cash as a business that they will steal. You can't track. These guys do your invoicing even for you. So I think that in terms of the options, we have it now. It's really for CBN to communicate why cash is not the best. Then people can go. We're the largest economy in Africa, guys. We can't be buying things with 20. There are no coins. I posted, when I put coins and I put K, people ask me, how can you say fuel was 10,000? I said, no, fuel was 10 kobo. They say, what's kobo? The youths, the young guys in Nigeria don't know what's something called kobo. There are many people in Nigeria that have never seen kobo and have never used kobo. How would they? Because kobo, there's nothing you can buy with kobo. But on your digital wallet, you can do 19 naira, 17 kobo. It's a thing. Let's move on. And were you want to say anything else?
Yes, I was saying that's the concern I have having these wallets, because when you have the P2P system, you don't need to fund a wallet, especially if it's linked to your bank account.
Bam.
You can just do your transaction. That's the concern I have with what the telcos have. I need to fund that wallet, before I can do the transaction. And also, Nigeria, we have trust issues. You won't blame them because you have people doing this, the fake alerts or I was really surprised that is even possible. I'm wondering, is it that the fake alert comes from the bank or from the telcos? I don't know how they do that fake alert, but
that
people
means
go to buy stuff.
That means that only someone
they receive payments on their phone, but meanwhile the money did not hit their account. But when you have a P2P system that is linked to your bank account, it pulls from the available bank balance. It doesn't pull from pending transaction. No, it pulls from what you have. And then if there is any dispute, the bank will take care of it. So that's the concern I have with some of the systems we have in Nigeria. And that's why I kind of referenced Zelle, because I mean, that's easy, and also it doesn't discriminate. Okay, are you using this line, or do you have this? No, it just takes your phone number, you register, and it links to your account. So for me, because I think the system also has to be user friendly. Now you're going to bring in a lot of people. Especially maybe people who are not as educated into the system. We need a system that is user-friendly. I don't know what system we have in Nigeria at the moment. Again, that's why I said the policy is good, but in terms of implementation and communication, the central bank just did a very poor job. I'm really hoping that they get it right. I'm hoping they kind of move this deadline and work around. Sorry?
No, I'm saying, I hear you. I'm just going to round up.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say.
Super, thanks. So that means if you are listening, right, and you're an IT guy, there's a big opportunity for you to create an app that can stop maybe the fake alerts. That's security for online transfers, for SMS transfers, might be something you want to have your team to look at, because that's going to be like a money maker for you. If you can have something that maybe I can download and I can verify that the transfer is really good, that's something you want to do. Hey, Michael Okun Oye, Michael Okun Swan, you got the floor, sir.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Hey, go ahead, sir.
Okay, okay, I just want to add that for me, yes, there are pros and cons. It's a good policy for us to look at. However, I've outlined what I want to say into three huge points for us to note. One, why we are in this situation even currently, aside the fact that Nigeria is more contested policy. CBN brought in the Akopora, was cash that was given to farmers to go and do whatever they need to do. Also, the cooking bank and doing their pyramids plan, CBN through refund was also using cash. The same cash they are limiting us to use now. It was also using cash to buy from the market. Also, the government has done some social programs. It was cash also that was used, taking cash to give people 5,000 and all that. It was still cash. So I want to say also that I'm a commodity trader, you understand, and the commodity market is the cash market, 100% cash market. The truth of it is, the reason why this is like this is because there is trust issue. There is trust issue between the farmer and the trader. There is trust issue between the farmer and the banks. There is trust issue between the farmers and themselves. I was at a market in Nasarawa, Awe market. Awe is a very big market, popular market. There is no POS in Awe. There is no bank close to that place. If you need cash to do any transaction, you have to go to Lafia to get money in millions. I understand the security challenges, you understand? And I know, yes, it's a huge problem for us to solve. While we have these issues and then who to blame for all these things, I would say the solution to proper implementation and onboarding of everybody, every Nigerian, is first of all, there's a need for orientation and reorientation of all the stakeholders, most especially the guys in the rural area, the farmers
in the
rural area.
All right.
There are villages that I've been to, sincerely, there is no network. There is no network within that village.
All right, Michael, I hear you. Michael.
You have to buy stuff. Even if you're telling them you're going to...
Michael, you got about a minute more, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, you got to round up, sir.
Okay. Even if you're going to tell them you're going to do transfers to them and all that, you still have the challenge of confirmation and all the stuff. Also, I also think the next...
All right, so I got Umar Sani. How you doing, sir? Go ahead. Hey, Umar, you got the floor, sir. Umar?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm
good day, everyone. It's quite commendable, this forum. Actually, I appreciate this, for my little contribution, because all is being said by other colleagues and friends and associates. being coming from the north, I think there's CBN need to do. But by and large, the policy is apt, the policy is good, and we have to really implement this policy. But what I want CBN and all the stakeholders, institutions to do, because in northern Nigeria, we've been having what is called weekly markets in all these rural areas. And it's purely cash-based since in the 60s or even before the 60s. So what we need to do, there's a lot of work for the bankers. There's a lot of work for the IT guys to put the infrastructure that will create confidence. There's a lot of work for all the stakeholders so that, to minimize this cash-based transaction and make it more inclusive, banking. Because as some of the, speakers says, there's a trust issue. So for us to have a kind of confidence in the system, yes, orientation is key. Besides that, the time frame needs to really, expand so that people will get more aware. Because actually, in all the states in northern Nigeria, I can tell you this: in our rural area is a weekly market. You see today the market of this village, next the market of this village, and you see the quantum of cash that people are carrying.
Yeah,
so
for us to
achieve that, since there's a redesign of the Naira and also this policy comes in, I want to, most of the banks to be present in those locations, whatever channel they will use, let them use it, so that they will create that confidence. And then the IT guys, all the IT people that have the IT, they need to really expand their infrastructure so that to create this. And by and large is awareness from the village head up to the district head, up to the emir of that emirate, because people need to be really involved. People need to really get aware. If not, actually, a lot of people shall change. A lot of people will, will end up losing their money, along the line. So confidence is key in every transaction. Confidence is key.
All right.
So yes, whatever we'll do, we are among the class of people that yes, I don't know when last I even went to the bank. I don't know when last I even spent, real cash, because I always do things online, real time. But when you go down to the village, if you want to go to say hello to your aunties, your grandfathers, definitely you have to, get some cash on you because they have never opened an account. So what we need to do is a confidence. We have to do something that will create confidence in that system and in the people. Yes, I had one of my sisters say, yes, the time is short, but we really need to look at it. If for any channel that we have to, voice out our concern to CBN and other stakeholders, we have to do it. But
all right.
Actually, I like it, and actually, I think it is for good for this country because
Umar, thank you. We're gonna round up. Umar,
few people are using, to siphon the money because they cannot track. But I believe this system can, track and make every transaction to be tracked, and also address if there's any anomalies. Thank you very much for.
Hey, thank you, Umar. Appreciate that. Thank you, Emeka. Emeka, you got the floor. Emeka Ali Emeka. Go ahead, sir. Umar, thank you so much.
Good everyone. Thanks, Carlo, for the platform and everything. I've listened to the speaks and everything. Honestly, before I was just skeptical. I was a little bit skeptical about the entire thing, but thanks for opening eyes. And I like the arguments that have come forward. I would just say, my major concerns is enough infrastructure, because the capacity of the banks and their network and the ability for them to actually provide adequate security is kind of lacking in some areas. So if they could work on that, it would be very good. Also, in the aspect of accessibility, there are areas in Nigeria that doesn't have access to good. In some areas, it can be 24 kilometers at a time, 20, 30 kilometers, and you don't get access to mobile networks. So in a way, you can have a way in which people can still transfer money, even without mobile networks. It can still be done. I think there are things that can be done to actually make that. There's actually technologies that make that possible right now, but it's something that could also be looked into. My concern about this is control. Limiting the access people to their money and making it all centralized within a particular platform can lead to a problem if something is to go haywire. Like if there is actually something like civil disobedience, like a protest or just something that just goes against normal norm, individuals can be singled out, and also individuals can be singled out and brought out. Like, can their privacy is their privacy is now exposed, and they have the government can have access to them and their accounts. Their accounts can get frozen. They can lose access to their wealth and things like that. So it really boils down to how they use it and what's being used. I'm just saying that it gives more power to this central the central bank above the people, and deny it or not, it's actually the reality. And so that's just basically what I'll just say. So looking for other ways of incentive away from just having your wealth. I'm just saying like diversification of what your securities can actually help to mitigate the problems.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I got Oluwaseun Kosemani. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, Kalu, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing very well. How is the Bitcoin world and all that? What's going on?
Hey, fantastic. We're having the first International Nigerian Bitcoin Conference come March 2023. I'm so excited. Thank you for giving the platform. And I invite all Nigerians, go check it out. Check my timeline, check it out. So real quick, you're a very brilliant man, and you have so many brilliant Nigerians coming to your space, and very early in the morning, 7 a.m., when we are doing the Orange Sun, our daily show. You're also up early at 6, 7 a.m. I'm wondering, Kalu always taking all of our listeners, potential listeners, because you're the influencer. I kind of run out of our space with my other phone, and I just come in with this guy sent your space to hear all of this stuff. I mean, it's wonderful what you're doing. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Real quick, so I'm just gonna come here to shock everybody. You know, I'm a Bitcoiner and a Bitcoin maxi. I have in-depth knowledge of what is going on, and I want to advise my Nigerian brothers and sisters. Zoom out real quick. You guys have said lots of fantastic stuff, fantastic, brilliant analysis. We don't have to go there no more, right? Zoom out real quick and ask yourself, what is the e-Naira backed by? On what distributed ledger technology, aka blockchain, is it built on? Why exactly is the e-Naira created at this time? Okay, so let's move very fast. Let me accelerate that. The fact that the Naira was recolored and not redesigned, whatever it is, and your withdrawals have now been limited to just about $120 per day, shows us March 666 is going to begin in Nigeria. Centralization of our lives, surveillance of our lives. Your NIN, your PDC, that's your voter's card, your BVN, your international passport number, your driving license, everything will be merged into the e-Naira, the CBDC, the GovCoin. And one time will come, they will also connect that to GPS when you spend everything everywhere you go. When you are politically against the government of the day because of unfavorable policies or inhuman behavioral pattern and or corruption that you're calling out, you can be shut out of monetary policies, monetary access. Imagine what they can do with the e-Naira. Central bank digital currency is full-blown centralization of our money. All these things you guys are saying is beautiful. It's because we have all accepted it. Nobody have thought of the protest.
So the point again is this, right? So what is the option? Should we go back to cowries? Should we do gold? Should I carry gold bars around? What's the option? If you say, I agree with what you're saying. In America, if I want to buy a house, my bank account is tied to my social security, which is tied to my credit score. They go further in China. They say if you are not a good Chinese, you can't even fly first class, or you can't even fly the plane or go to a club. I get it. But what's the option? What should we do? Are you saying we should leave fiat or not do NIN, or we should go off the grid? What should we do?
Thank you very much. Real quick, you can see the amount of money our country is borrowing and moving straight into green. I don't know how people will feel about this, but we need to go to hard money. Instead of Nigeria creating Gulf coins to centralize our life, and then politicians will discover later and start hurting themselves in the National Assembly and throwing chairs again. We should go for hard money.
What's hard money? What's hard money?
Buy as many bitcoins as possible. What else have they done?
Come on, man. Come on, man. Okay.
How many gold reserves do we have right now?
We're gonna have this Bitcoin. We're gonna have this Bitcoin matter.
If we buy Bitcoin,
buy Bitcoin and do what? Okay, Sharon.
If you look at the growth trajectory, that will pay us and strengthen our naira in the future. We already have a good naira. We don't need to centralize our life and hurt our people.
Okay.
When immediately out, even this same digital naira will hurt him, and he will start calling out. Right now, this money is being printed already. We don't even know how many e-naira we have. What is the market cap of e-naira? What is the interoperability of e-naira to other countries' central bank digital currency? Everybody will create digital currency. Do you think Ghana will allow e-naira to come and overshadow its ECDs? Do you think the US?
All right, Cheryl, I get you. Cheryl, I get you. But the point again, remember, guys. Again, I'm not going to go into Bitcoin argument anymore. But remember, guys, currency is not wealth. Currency represents wealth. If you have yams, then you sell your yams and you get currency to buy cows. Currency in of itself is not wealth. There are billionaires in Zimbabwe that have 1 billion Zimbabwe dollars. It doesn't mean that they are wealthy. I think we are debating on the type of currency we want to have and not wealth.
We already have naira, my brother.
Bitcoin itself is a currency.
Yeah.
So if you hold one Bitcoin, Oluwaseun, whatever you call it, it is a currency. A currency is not wealth. I can print Kalu Naira today. It doesn't make me wealthy. It doesn't. Dollar is printed. Zimbabwean dollars are printed. The difference is that people buy Boeing jets and crude oil. Thus, they need American dollars. Hence, the dollar value goes up. Simply printing paper or printing a digital thing and calling it currency is not wealth. It is still currency.
I respect that opinion. It's correct 100%.
All right. So we're going to move on. We're going to move on.
We are saying our currency has been debased 100%. And what we need to do is to increase the value of human life by introducing hard money. Real estate is falling down the way down. As we speak, if war breaks out in Nigeria, even if you have $1 billion in real estate, how do you move that real estate and turn it into cash in a few minutes?
All right. Sure, I hear you, but we're going to move on, right? Let's get on.
Yeah, I know we got to move on, but 1 second. Let me just answer your question. Since we are here at the crossroad, what I suggest is instead of creating a surveillance tool to impoverish your own people, why don't you start to adopt strategies that will strengthen the human capacity, mineral resources, hard money? Buy more gold if you can, and look at what other countries are doing. The digital future is not scamming people by creating your own coins.
Okay,
like
I hear you.
Luna and the rest, like FTX, XRP, all that scam. That is what Nigeria has just created. Wake up, Nigeria.
Sure, I hear you.
Thank you.
I hear you. All right, let's get Baba. I've got Baba Yaza. Baba Yaza. Go ahead, sir. You've got the floor.
Good evening, host, and
Baba,
good evening, all the members.
How you doing? Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, And I wanted to talk on ordinary layman's understanding of the topic of your own topic.
Okay, go ahead.
Though you are, but now, do you know an ordinary man believes in the horoses? That is it. If you go to every we in the north, that is what you. Now the problem with cashless isn't the implementation, but the acceptability of cashless. That is what is lacking. So you people have to address how cashless will be accepted to people. Now, a typical example: if you have a problem between a buyer and a customer, do you know a failed e-transaction between a buyer and a do you know how much it takes to address that? Now, a buyer have bought something, went with the commodity and paid, all of a sudden it fell, it flops. Now, if you are to address that one, it will take you not less than 6 months to address that one. So if our bankers are contributing to all this cashless problem, they are there most at times, rather than for them to employ more ad hoc staffs or to open a bank accounts, they will be striding on opening bank account rather than to be attending to you to address such a problem. So except we address it, we here in the north, all these programs that we are taking, we said in Arabic, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaykum raji'un. That is what we found ourselves. In fact, we don't know whether it is left or right. In fact, some of us were even saying we should go for smaller denominations for the Naira redesign and so on, if they are not among those that are needed to be redesigned. Now, if all of a sudden in the village, because it's all our monies is under the pillow, all our belongings, is under
all right, the pillow. Papa, we're going to round up. We're going to round up.
All of a sudden, you come up with something like this. Do you think EFCC or other representatives will not attack you? So address that one in the context of layman. We are not saying computer gurus are not there. Thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate that, sir. All right, guys, we're going to round up in about 15 minutes. So I'm just going to take the guys that are to speak now. They're just going to speak. So no more, not going to add anyone, just letting you guys know. We're going to round up by 15 minutes time, so I can let you guys go watch the game and all that. We'll round up by 10 p.m. Nigerian time, guys. All right, so I've got Jama, Paul, and Jama. Good day, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay. I want to say the intention behind the policy is actually right, commendable. That's if you're actually sincere about it. But I think what the CBN is doing is putting the cart before the horse. Yeah, putting the cart before the horse. I am a building contractor as well as a farmer. I own a farm, about a 10-hectare plot of land where I do palms, somewhere in Akamkpa, Cross River State. We do not have network in that community. And even 2 villages after that village don't have a proper network. The closest village with the network working is even epileptic. So how do we do this? I get farmers to come weed. I'm supposed to pay close to 100 and something K. These guys, we employ indigents.
So I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that you pay your farmers in the farm?
Yes.
Okay, so why can't so? Yeah, but also there are places in Lagos also without internet as well. Not all of Lagos has internet. Not all of Lagos, not all of America has internet. So you can go to the town and pay them. You can go to where they have service and pay them. That's what I'm saying, right?
When you say you can go to the town, you're talking about spending close to 3,000 to 4,000 naira for one person before he gets paid.
That's not true, sir. But that's not true.
Just look at, let me paint it clearly. Let's say the person works for 10K. We have about 10 farmers. The total I'm supposed to pay them is 100K.
and each person is supposed to go home with 10K. Are you saying they will pay their transport to town to get paid, then pay 4,000 naira back to their community?
I'm saying that right now, CBN says you can give them cash right now. They haven't stopped you. Nobody has stopped the policy. You can still do what you're doing. But what CBN is saying is that going forward, try to get them digital wallets. That's what CBN is saying. Get them digital wallets. Pay to their digital wallet. It won't happen today. It will happen over time.
So what I'm saying is, I think they are supposed to do certain things first before. I think the policy is actually implementation. Is it 9th January? Is actually hasty because this policy they are not my.
The policy is 2012. 2012. The policy is 2012. Cashless banking is 2012. It's the same policy from 2012. Cashless banking.
Cashless banking is 2012, but there's a deadline that has been put for people to for a ceiling.
That's a different policy. That's a different policy. But that's a different policy.
If within the period of 2012 to this time they have made efforts to even reach out to these unbanked locals, I think it would have been easier. But you're putting a deadline in January. We have so many unbanked locals in areas where there are no network. It would take so much money for them to get their monies from a neighboring town. So you need to reach it. I don't know if you do it through town criers. I don't know the modalities these guys who want to use to get to this, but they need to, there's some form of orientation. They need sensitization rather for these people to understand what's the new thing for this thing to work very well. I think that's what I think.
So I hear you, sir. Njama, I hear you. Look at what I'm telling you, sir. Cashless banking policy has been since 2012. They don't want you to use cash. So what they've done now is to say, we're going to change the currency, right? To force this cashless banking through, because now we have new infrastructure that will allow you to do cashless banking. It's not going to happen today. Remember, they haven't banned cash. They've simply increased the cost of you holding cash. So if you insist on giving your workers cash, it will cost you more. They haven't banned cash. But the long-term goal is to say they want you to go towards cashless banking. So let's move on, sir. Thank you so much, Gemma. Let's move on. I got Blackbird. Blackbird, sir, you've got the floor. I think you've spoken Blackbird. Did you speak? Blackbird, sir, you've got the floor. Go ahead. Well, let's get Blackbird is on. Let's get Olumigoke Phillips. Gemma, thank you so much. Olumigoke Phillips, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. It's Olumigoke.
Sorry about that. I apologize, sir.
All right. So thank you for what you've done, Mr. Kalu, so far. I really appreciate the space. It's really enlightening. So I myself, I'm an IT expert, a businessman with almost a decade experience in the finance space. I also do all this blockchain, Bitcoin, etc. But I also understand that this conversation is not about, Bitcoin or blockchain. It's largely cashless banking and the policy that the CBN has rolled out in Nigeria. So I agree that this particular policy is needed, and we've got to move to the next level. But my concern is the smooth transitioning. Personally, myself, I think I was telling someone some weeks ago that the highest I've withdrawn from ATM machine, my own use case, in like 3 years has been 20,000 naira. That's the highest, and I just do that occasionally, So I don't use so much cash personally, but then it's beyond me. And that is what I believe every policymaker in the country should also look at. I think a lot of our policymakers are detached from the reality of the average man in our environment. Take, for example, let me just tell a quick story.
You got to be quick, sir. You got to be quick.
Station in Ogun State. And I bought something from a woman around 500 naira. And, I gave her the cash and then she gave me the goods. And I was like, this stuff is not good enough. Like, I would like to return it, then give me back the cash. And the woman looked at me sternly and she's like, this money that she has collected, by the grace of God, she's not going to give me back, because that is what she needs with her family to feed this night. I can come back tomorrow though, to get something or whatever, all of these things. Now, imagine that transaction was wired over, some sort of technology that charges like, 1% transaction fee on that. Even if she voluntarily wants to give me back that money, she can't, because it's no longer whole.
Why can't she give it back to you? Why can't she give it back to you?
So these are some of the challenges around this policy at this time. I believe that it's the way to go, but the intentional challenge around cash is too heavy for an environment that depends so much on this cash to survive. I mean, a lot of people have talked about it. I think Bubayaza talked about it, Mr. Aruna talked about it, and Willie talked about it, that although it is the right way to go, I've not even talked about the network challenge in a lot of places around where people cannot even. So some persons have made a point about, these people cannot even get 20,000. It's not about them getting 20,000. It's about the person that can get that money to give them. Some people, what they need is just 5,000. But if the person that is going to give them the 5,000 doesn't have access to it, then, probably the job is going to be, a little bit here and there. And, it's just the payment is just a little bit, challenging. While for a lot of us, I mean, for most people on this, Twitter space, maybe a lot of us has never even held cash.
All right.
This year.
All right. So I got to wind up.
Yeah. So this year, personally, I've not, handled a lot of cash physically. I mean, and for most people in this group, it's the same. But for a woman in some remote village in Owerri or they need this money. And so how would they be able to get up to speed with the January, situation? So that is my concern with this policy. It's the way to go by.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't banned cash. You can still get cash. It's just made a bit more difficult. You can still get cash. We haven't banned cash. So that really, to me, I won't say it's an excuse, but we haven't banned cash. Let's get speaker. First light, Bright Bito, go ahead, sir. Bright Bito, you've got the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Mr. Kalu, thank you very much. There is one other information that I'm sure you're aware of it. The new ATM system that they're going to introduce in January. Yeah. You remember that? Nobody is talking about that. CBN has announced that about October or thereabout. In January, the old ATM is going to be taken out of the system. They are bringing in something called National Something ATM, which is going to harmonize all the ATMs with the bank. Yes, I agree. The informations were not going out there, but it's been announced, and they said in January it's also going to kick off. But the other point is this: Nigeria, no matter how bad the situation, there is something I've realized because in Nigeria, when ATM was introduced, nobody wants to go near it. In fact, at the point in time, we used to use bank draft to go from Kano to Lagos to get our things. Then later in transfer, you can withdraw from other banks. You also remember there was a time you can't withdraw except from the branch where you open your account. Now we can go all over. It's innovation, and I want us to accept it. These people we're talking about, they are not that illiterate. When you start it, you realize that everybody will get used to it, and we'll move forward. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Let's get Nata. I've got Nata. We've got the floor, sir. Nata.
Hi, everyone. Good day, wherever you are.
The second lady, I appreciate that. Go ahead.
Good policy, as usual. Like I usually say, we always have, Nigeria has very fantastic policies on paper. That we're very good at policy formulation, right? They look very fantastic on paper. Implementation is rubbish. Timeline is rubbish. You can't come up with something like this and give less than 2 months for, to kick off. So just, with everybody's conversation, we understand, like, all those people we're talking about, the poor woman in the village who is going to doing roasted corn by the roadside and all of those things. Yeah, 500 naira here, 1,000 naira there, and everything. You still have the cash to do that. However, when it moves beyond that, Kalu with Momo money by MTN and the rest of them, my key issue, my key whatever, as everybody has said, is the issue of infrastructure, right? So it's a good thing, but then what are the processes or what is the government putting in place in terms of infrastructure? You can't just depend solely on the telecom companies to ensure that what have you done to facilitate spread of infrastructure? We're in 2022, a lot of communities are still cut out. So it's not just a thing of, it's not, this thing doesn't require smartphones, but even the cellular networks are not there. Right. So are we learning from other countries like Cote d'Ivoire, like Kenya? Because I know, Kalu, you're always using Kenya as a case study. Have we learned from Kenya? How did Kenya, how did they scale up mobile money? How did Cote d'Ivoire? Because mobile money is a thing in Cote d'Ivoire as well, and to a large extent in Ghana. Are we learning from these countries to say this was how they did it, this was how they scaled up, and this is why they're able to successfully do mobile money? If we're not doing that, then we haven't even started. And then, just throwing all of this. I mean, at the end of the day, when everything comes together, by the time everybody has gotten onboarded and into the system and using all of these things, it's fantastic, right? But it's just this thing we have as our policymakers, this thing we have with, this thing must happen and it must happen now. That is the thing that is really troubling. Like this attitude of it must happen now. For instance, the new Naira notes, just to backtrack, when the UK withdrew, when they redesigned the pounds and the 50 pounds, 20 pounds and what have you, they gave over 5 years for people to return the old this year. And when that thing went off in September, all the old money, all the old notes had been mopped up in the economy, right, or in the system. You just come up, we are redesigning Naira, 3 months. Let everybody return their money. So for people who live in the diaspora, for instance, and they have stacks of Naira notes, what are they supposed to do with it? Just trash it after January or after December? It doesn't make sense. So these are the issues, right? These issues of we have to do something. Yes, you have to do something. Agreed, fantastic. But must it be now? Let's learn to, we need to learn to put processes in place. Like the last speaker said, we always put the cart before the horse or whatever and all of those things. And we always run into trouble because this thing starts and then we go and hit a gridlock and it's like, it didn't work. So we're going to reverse it and all of those things. So let's learn from our neighbors. I mean, Cote d'Ivoire is just by the corner. Let's learn from them. How did they scale up? Or how did they, how did they work with private telco companies to scale up coverage? Because the coverage is the problem. The infrastructure is going to be the major blocker to this kind of policies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those are lots of points you made there and are all valid. I think you just summarized, I guess, the discussion we've had since 7 p.m. Nigerian time, where people are saying good policy, bad rollout, good policy, bad communication, good policy, but we don't trust who is selling it. I think that's just a summary, really, of what we've had today. I personally think it's just a natural progression in our strategy to make our economy more digital, more people-friendly, and of course, more efficient. I just think it's just the pathway to it. Like, we can't have a large economy driven by cash. It's just inefficient. We've got to move on. How we are getting there, I think, is where people have the problem with, like, this change of the Naira, the quickness of it, the suddenness, the huge cost that is being asked that people undertake. I think that's what the problem is, right? So overall, I think it's a good policy. I wish the CBN would communicate better. People have asked for costs to be reduced. So as they are transiting from cash to cashless, there's an incentive-based, it's an incentive-based push, not really the stick, but more of carrots. People see cashless banking and see the effect of it. Perhaps they would agree to move over. So that's really the point everyone has said over and over and over. We like it, but we want it to be more or less done better, right? So I'm in that camp. Remember, guys, let's just go back to policy. Nothing has changed. Cashless policy 2012. What has changed is how they want to implement it now. They've changed the color of Naira. That was a bit of a distraction. But like I said, the real policy would come after that Naira change and what was the policy this cashless banking really. So that's what needs to happen, or that's what the central bank wants to happen. So let's see how far they go. Hey guys, thanks for joining me all this while just to talk about issues of national importance and how it affects your personal finance. I made the point also, and I'm going to make it again. This will allow them tax you more because they can see more transactions go through your account, right? But income is what is taxed, not expenditure. Just make that point that you are going to be more exposed to taxation. So start to get yourself ready. Like, if you have a business account, separate your business accounts clearly from your personal account. Start to prepare and behave as if someone is looking to your books so that way you are more ready when this policies kicks off. The end game is to bring the informal sector into the formal sector. Why do you want to do that? Because you want to tax them, because you want to apply monetary policy to the economy, which will make the economy work, should we say, more efficiently in terms of monetary supply. You can introduce money, you can take money out if you have a larger control of a monetary supply. So start to get ready, separate your books, get your accountants, behave as if you are already in a situation where the government can see your books. They're going to see it anyway. So all this running away and saying 9666, they're already seeing everything. There's nothing you can hide. So if you're not a bad guy, just worry about your taxes. Let them track what on the track. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'll let you guys go. Do get my books available on Amazon, on Roving Heights. Let's Talk About Your Money. I recommend it as a Christmas gift for your loved one and for those you also don't love. Show them love, get the book, give it to them. All right, guys, let you guys go now. Let's meet again Sunday or Monday morning, 7 a.m., where we review Nigerian papers and see what's happening, give our own take on quick Nigerian policy, on what is happening for the week. We'll do a quick newspaper review Monday, 7 a.m. West African time by 7 a.m. All right, guys, take good care. Love you all. Talk to you later, and bye.